All right, so we're about to go through the entire 2025 presidential budget to the National Nanotechnology Initiative, okay? Which is also your bio-digital convergence, which is also your 6G. I'm going to show you. Now, if you pay attention through this whole video, it's going to be a very long one. Everything should start to make sense if it's not already starting to make sense just by the videos that we've released so far. So here is your Horizons European program, okay? You see on the left there, Horizons 2020. Horizons is a name, a word that you need to keep in your head through this video. So Horizons 2020 in the European Union, Cordis, EU research results, European Commission, your European Union. Scalable localization enabled in-body terahertz nano networks. What runs off of terahertz that you're seeing towers being deployed all around you right now? 5G. Your 6G is also going to run off terahertz and visible light communication. So now this is called the SCALE-INT project, the Scalable Localization Enabled In-Body Terahertz Nano Network. Summary of the context and overall objective of this project. The main scientific goal of SCALE-INT project was to propose a terahertz operating in-body nano network, nanotechnology, nano network that features localization and two-way communication capabilities. That means it can read from and write to. Such a network is envisioned to eventually enable a variety of novel healthcare applications. Wasn't there just like a novel thing for this novel virus that just came out in 2020? Horizons 2020? For novel healthcare applications ranging from early localized detection of viruses, bacteria, cancerous cells, and tissues, to targeted drug delivery and nanosurgeries. For enabling the above applications, nano machines comprising an in-body nano network are envisioned to flow through the body, through the blood, take actions at certain locations or upon commands. Where would they be getting those commands from? Probably the terahertz network. And communicate results to a more powerful body area network. Given the small sizes of these nano devices, harvesting surrounding energy, example from heartbeats or blood currents, was envisioned to be their sole powering option. Energy harvesting intra-body. All you have to do is Google that. Due to their constrained energy and tiny form factors, the nano devices were assumed to be passively flowing, i.e. without the possibility of mechanical steering towards the target location. To support controlling the nano devices upon researching their target locations, there was intuitively a need for knowing their current locations. Equally intuitive, there was a need for communication between the outside world and the nano device, example for issuing control commands through terahertz, as well as between the nano devices and the outside world, example for delivering devices readings. One of the most promising enablers for communications in such scenarios is to utilize electromagnetic signals in the terahertz frequencies, 5G, 6G, and beyond. This is because the communication in these frequencies allows for tiny transceivers and antenna form factors, the prime requirement for in-body nano devices. However, the terahertz band has its peculiarities, primarily pertaining to high attenuation and spreading loss, combined with constrained powering of nanonodes relying only on energy harvesting. Communication between the body area network and the in-body nano devices was all but clear at the time the SCALE-INT project was conceptualized. At the same time, the main educational and career development aims of the project were to expand the existing set of expertise of the MSCA Fellow. This was a rather heterogeneous aim, which included enhancing the scientific portfolio of the Fellow along a set of complementary yet heterogeneous technical domains, obtaining first experiences in supervision of the PhD, MSCs, and BSc students, as well as in teaching at the university level. Organization of scientific events with the aim of enhancing the visibility of the fellow and the project, enhancing the Fellow's understanding of the possibility of valorization of the main results of the project, as well as enhancing his expertise in terms of developing scientific proposals and acquiring further funding. So now, why did I say remember horizons? I'm about to show you. Because 6G is your horizons. The 6G network is on the horizon. Cable Labs, telecommunication company. Sony Ericsson 6G, follow the journey to the next generation networks. Huawei 6G, the next horizon. 6G will integrate sensing with communication in a single system, exploiting radio waves to see the physical world and make the digital twin in the cyber world. Your IEEE Explorer, shaping the 6G horizon. KCL Tech, accelerating to future-ready networks, navigating the 6G horizon. Horizon. So why is Horizon so important? Because your policy arm for global policy, international policy, not just Canadian policy, is ran out of the Canadian government. And it's called Policy Horizons Canada. And they're exploring something called the biodigital convergence. What is the biodigital convergence? Here's the government of Canada, who is exploring and creating the standardization and the policy, international policy, for the biodigital convergence, which is your next gen 6G technologies. And how is it going to work? What happens when biology and digital technology merge? And you'll see here on the Standards Council of Canada page, Canada is at the forefront of exploring the biodigital convergence. Canada is leading the international efforts at the IEC, International Electrotechnical Commission, to investigate, research, and emerging market trends, which includes your emerging technologies, and propose a roadmap for standardization in the era. IEC established the standardization evaluation group called SEG 12 on biodigital convergence. To understand why the biodigital convergence affects you, especially if you took your mRNA jabs, the biodigital convergence describes the intersection and in some cases merging of biological and digital technologies. Biodigital technologies include your mRNA vaccines used to treat COVID-19 and also digitally controlled surveillance insects, with those biodigital technologies like your mRNA, genetic engineering, nanotechnology. Here's the International Electrotechnical Commission, who's creating the global international standards guiding the biodigital revolution, which is your fourth industrial revolution, your healthcare 4.0, your industry 4.0, everything. Biodigital convergence is made possible by advances in fields such as synthetic biology, biotechnology, and digital technology. This is allowing researchers to manipulate and control biological systems in increasingly sophisticated ways. It is a rapidly evolving field that holds great promise for a wide range of applications. By merging biology and digital technology, scientists are creating new tools, technologies, and applications that could have profound impact on many aspects of our lives, from healthcare to agriculture and environmental protection. It includes the use of digital tools and techniques to design and synthesize new biological components, such as DNA, proteins, and cells, as well as the use of digital technology to control and manipulate these biological systems in real time. And now, right after this, we're going to go play a quick clip, and then we're going to jump into the 2025 presidential budget for the National Nanotechnology Initiative. I really hope you actually sit and listen to the entire document so you can have a full understanding of what your government's agenda is and who all the institutions that are involved are. In other words, every single person that pushed these vaccines on you knows exactly what these vaccines are for your biodigital convergence, 6G, next-gen internet system. Your body is the antenna. They all know. There's no way they don't know. You'll know that after you listen to the 2025 budget. So now, why am I going to this document real quick? Remember I said, remember horizons? Horizons is so important because it brings you back to the national policy and standardization with Policy Horizons Canada. So the National Nanotechnology Initiative at 20 years, enabling new horizons. Don't worry, I'm going to leave all the links to all this information down below. I really hope you actually are intelligent and you go look for yourself. Run through this information for yourself, do your homework, do your due diligence, and start understanding what your government is actually up to. And it's not what they're telling you on the media, and it's not what your alternative medias are telling you either. So this is a PDF document. I'm going to have to download it real quick. So like I said, before we get into the 2025 document, which was written under Joe Biden's presidency, okay? And I know everybody's going to say, oh, it's Biden that did it. No, this is a global agenda. Every government is involved. Every past president, all the way back to 2000, is involved. It's a 20-year agenda. They know exactly what they're doing. So here's the document. National Nanotechnology Initiative at 20 Years Enabling New Horizons by Michal C. Rocco, which is the leader of the National Nanotechnology Initiative. So you're going to scroll down to page 15 on this document. And I'm going to say the same thing I say every time I go through this document and scroll down to page 15 and show you guys. I would strongly suggest reading the entire document. The links are down below. If you really want to understand what these agendas are and what's really being done, who's really involved, and what is their master plan to control matter at the nanoscale. Yes, you are made of matter, folks. We are all made of matter. Would you like this nanotechnology inside of you so you could be controlled at the nanoscale? Yeah, I don't, and that's why I'm avoiding it at all costs. But unfortunately, it's in everything, and you're going to find that out in the 2025 presidential budget. So we went too far. We're going to scroll back up to page 15. Sorry, I always confuse that. Page 16, not 15. So on page 16, you're going to be able to see all of the presidential budgets going back to 2000 from President Clinton, President George W. Bush, President Obama, all for the vision of the deployment of nanotechnology 2030 agenda, which President Trump just continued on. President Trump's administration supported increased funding of the National Nanotechnology Initiative with a focus on both basic research and emerging technologies to advance industries and communities of the future. Communities of the future is your smart cities. In particular, quantum, AI semiconductors, wireless communication systems, which is your 5G, your 6G, and mRNA vaccines. Number 33, how coincidental. President Trump's administration, 2018, invested into the mRNA vaccines and your future cities, which is your smart cities, and also your wireless communication systems. So anybody who tells you that Trump is not involved in the agenda is full of fucking shit. Turn them off. They're dumb, they're retarded, and they don't fucking read. Real quick, before we get into the 2025 presidential budget for the National Nanotechnology Initiative, how about we help you understand what the telecommunications investment actually was? Here's your International Telecommunications Union, working on the Internet of Bio-Nano Things with your nanotechnology, your intra-body smart computing in the human body. DNA-based nano networks realizing the Internet of Bio-Nano Things at your Carleton University, working in collaboration with your International Telecommunications Union and your National Science Foundation. And your doctors want to keep trying to tell you that they don't know what the Internet of Bio-Nano Things is. So then why is the medical design briefs building the Internet of Bio-Nano Things? The IOBNT refers to biosensors, which your doctors will not admit to even exist, that collect and process data, nanoscale labs on a chip that run medical tests inside the body. This is where your medical professionals go to see the newest emerging technologies that they have to get their labs, their doctor's offices, their tools prepared for. And you're still going to try and tell me that your doctors have no idea what any of this is? Anybody that's claiming that still is full of fucking shit. Turn them off. The Internet of Bio-Nano Things, IOBNT, promises to revolutionize medicine and healthcare. Looks like it already has, because everybody has it in them that's taking these injections. And probably most of your medications these days do, which you will find out when you actually listen to the entire document of the 2025 presidential budget for the National Nanotechnology Initiative. What's coming on the horizons here, folks? Because they're telling you. The IOBNT refers to biosensors that collect and process data, nanoscale lab on a chip that run medical tests inside the body, the use of bacteria to design biological nanomachines that can detect pathogens, and nanorobots that swim through the bloodstream to perform targeted drug delivery and treatment. Biomolecular communications is inspired by the body itself. In its simplest form, it encodes 1s and 0 bits by releasing or not releasing molecular particles, like nanoparticles, into the bloodstream. Similar on-off keying in wireless networks. According to the researchers, the research community over at the medical design briefs, where all of your medical professionals would be frequenting to see what emerging technologies, emerging trends are happening within healthcare so they can get prepared, so they can do the research and get prepared. According to the researchers, biomolecular communications has emerged as the most suitable paradigm for networking nano implants. It sends data by encoding it into molecules that then go through the bloodstream and are guided where to go and when to release their treatments, just like hormones. You can easily go to Google and type in 6G NSF IOBNT, which is your National Science Foundation. It's going to bring you to all the research that is linked to them. NSF hosts government industry leaders to discuss the future of 6G. Whitehouse.gov, joint statement endorsing principles for 6G, secure, open, and resilient. Canada doing the same thing. National Telecommunications and Information Administration.gov, report of subcommittee on 6G. Pages and pages of government research on 6G. Internet of Bio Nano Things, per your International Telecommunications Union and your bio-digital convergence standardization and policies being implemented by government already. So now let's go listen to a couple of video clips to show you how 6G works, what's involved, and then from there we're going to go listen to the 2025 National Nanotechnology Initiative presidential budget so you can understand what they have planned for you 2025 and ongoing. I'm actually showing you the future here. If you're paying attention, you'll understand that.
And then we have like these three I put underneath. It's more like the 7G after 2025, 2030. It's more like the 7G after 2025, 2030. Like quantum communications, again, that's a very hot topic. Everybody talks about it, like especially quantum computing. My personal opinion is the progress is very slow. The quantum computing is here since 2015, 20 years, and the progress is slow. Similarly, quantum communications is now active, and the outcome is really not there, what we expect. For example, you cannot have these big data centers in the mobile systems, right? How will you carry that in your pocket? So it will be a need for a new, as an example, mobile device which can do quantum communications, right, and quantum computing. And yeah, so people are writing papers, right? And then, as Winard said, I do this research since 15 years, nanoscale machines and also bio-nanoscale machines for the human health. And there's a lot of progress going on here, like molecular communication, health applications, virus detections, bacteria detection. So I wish I could give you one talk about this alone, right? And unfortunately, I will just cover these green areas and then a little bit yellow because I will show you how I ended up in terahertz band communication. So
Internet of Bio-Nano things, these are for the health applications. I did also a lot of research on that the last 15 years. Bio-nanoscale machines, but these are for the injecting into the body and always monitoring the health problems. And that is also really going really well, like with these COVID vaccines. It's going that direction. These mRNAs are nothing than small-scale, nanoscale machines, right? They're programmed and they're injected. And then Internet of Nanoscale things. So those will be part of 7G and beyond, right?
It's more like the 7G after 2025, 2030.
At the beginning, you mentioned the network is two-way. So if the network communication is two-way and we can reprogram the bacteria we are putting inside the body,
right,
we have a huge risk of security over there.
This part is the cyber world, right? Hopefully, people will behave nicely, but that's not the case, unfortunately. You're right. So now if somebody can come and then really reprogram you and kill you even, So now if somebody can come and then really reprogram you and kill you even.
So I can inject into the body, and then they can fight these ill cells or ill bacteria, and then solve the problem. So just an example. So I hope you are getting the point, right? So we are trying to create these nanoscale machines, genetically engineer them. They will act like bacteria, and also in the future we will see that neurons and calcium ions and etc. And it will help us for prolonging our lives. In fact, the mRNA, the COVID injection is exactly based on this idea.
So the nano devices that we are talking about, they will be kind of like artificial cells or artificial molecules which can be programmed and injected inside the body. And what will they help us is they will work together in a cooperative way, attack any health-related problems. For example, we can find solutions for heart diseases and cancer tumors or diabetes or Alzheimer's diseases or epilepsy, because they will be programmed such a way and inject it, and they can attack those targeted areas, like for example Crohn's disease is an intestine problem, and there's no solution for these or cure for these problems. So these artificial designed cells or these nanomachines will help us to attack those illnesses, and it will prolong our lives. So that's an explanation in a nutshell. You know, how these devices are designed, how they are programmed, how they are injected, how they go to their targets, and how they cooperate. That's where the communications people come into picture, and the biologists are needed for understanding the cell's behavior so that we can create these artificial cells, and then the programmers are needed to code these cells. So that's an interdisciplinary research, and also we need, of course, medical people so that they can tell us how to code these devices, so that these devices will target these diseased areas. So overall, it will help us to prolong the lifespan of the people.
So I'm particularly interested in two areas currently. One is brain. So in the brain, I'm interested to see how I can have information transmitted to internal systems like neurons. How can I use them to activate them, improving their performance so that they can process more information, for example, or we can also do activation. So in case, for example, in dementia or Alzheimer type of situations, so we see that the brain networks are slowing down a little bit. It could be potentially because of the age, or it can be also some kind of disease. And I'm interested to see whether I can have an interface so that I can improve their performance, either using molecular signals or electrical signals. The other problem I'm studying is for heart. How can I come up with a more precise way of understanding heart failure and stimulating the heart so that we potentially can address problems with arrhythmia in the future, and maybe we can also, instead of doing surgery for heart diseases like bypass surgery or valve replacement, whether we really can go and do modification into those particular cells using engineering tools that we are trying to develop them. So wireless communications as a field has matured over the last 50 years. You can imagine, for example, from how these networks have evolved over the time, going all the way down to like GSM when we had the first mobile communication networks. Now we're talking about 5G networks, very sophisticated network that can provide huge amount of different type of services. And the theories and the tools that we have developed potentially can be also useful for understanding how human body is functioning. So human body is a cell, small cells are signaling to each other. The cell-to-cell communication is pretty much the way that we understand how the signaling is happening between two mobile phones. So these are the synergies, or the analogies are pretty much the same.
The hot topics of this year's NANOCOM conference include new mechanisms of actually programming cells to do dedicated communications, all the way to actually developing new types of components on metamaterials for future wireless communication systems. We've actually got 3 papers accepted into ACM NANOCOM this year, and that includes mechanisms of actually using molecular communication concepts to model dengue virus propagation in the human body, as well as new mechanisms of actually detecting DNA hacking, as well as new molecular communication concepts to model therapeutic cells that can produce molecules for brain tumor diagnosis and treatment.
It's very significant that NANOCOM is hosted by Ireland this year. In fact, we are very proud to have NANOCOM because it's the world premier conference in nanoscale computing and communication. Connect is very active in this field. It has been heralding the idea of internet within the body and not only outside. This is a revolution in future communication networks.
So we've been working on imaging for a very long time, imaging how cells communicate with each other. And now what we're trying to do is link into that so that we can take those signals and transmit them outside the body so we can tell investigators where the cells are, what they're doing. Our next step is then to tell the cells what to do. So we're very interested in communicating with cells in the body to send signals in, to get signals out, to treat diseases like cancer and neurological diseases. And so we engineer the cells, we engineer electronics, and we work at the interface of the biology and the electronic systems. The signals used in electronics are very different than the signals used by cells. And so how do you convert signals from a biological system to something that can be interpreted by an electronic system? So it's those signals that we're really interested in. We can sense really large things, but to sense small changes like the early signs of cancer or the earliest signals of an immune response, those things are very challenging because the signals are very different. I think it's going to get to a point where we'll have injectables. We'll get to a point where injectables are used and sent into the body to find disease, and then we can communicate with them to tell them what to do, and they can tell us what they found. So the future is having the cells tell us what's in the body and to then use that signal to direct the therapy appropriately so that we can do treatments without having to be invasive. This is really key. The investigators here work on mathematical modeling so we can understand how the signaling works. The investigators here work on engineering biological systems to create signals that we can detect, and they also work on electronic systems that can interpret those signals. So this group of investigators is pulling all of this together, from modeling to actually interpreting the signals and sending signals back into the body. It's a tremendous group of people that are really focused on all aspects of wireless communication in healthcare and biosystems.
National Nanotechnology Initiative Supplement to the President's 2025 Budget. About the Office of Science and Technology Policy. The Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, was established by the National Science and Technology Policy, Organization, and Priorities Act of 1976 to provide the President and others within the Executive Office of the President with advice on the scientific, engineering, and technological aspects of the economy, national security, homeland security, health, foreign relations, the environment, and the technological recovery and use of resources, among other topics. OSTP leads interagency science and technology policy coordination efforts, assists the Office of Management and Budget with an annual review and analysis of federal research and development in budgets, and serves as a source of scientific and technological analysis and judgment for the President with respect to major policies, plans, and programs of the federal government. More information is available at whitehouse.gov. About the National Science and Technology Council. The National Science and Technology Council, NSTC, is the principal means by which the executive branch coordinates science and technology policy across the diverse entities that make up the federal research and development enterprise. A primary objective of the NSTC is to ensure that science and technology policy decisions are consistent with the President's stated goals. The NSTC prepares research and development strategies that are coordinated across federal agencies aimed at accomplishing multiple national goals. The work of the NSTC is organized under committees that oversee subcommittees and working groups focused on different aspects of science and technology. More information is available at whitehouse.gov. About the Subcommittee on Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology. The Subcommittee on Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology (NSET) contributes to the activities of NSTC's Committee on Technology. NSET's purpose is to advise and assist the NSTC and OSTP on policies, procedures, and plans related to the goals of the National Nanotechnology Initiative (NNI). As such, and to the extent permitted by law, the NSET subcommittee defines and coordinates federal efforts in support of the goals of the NI and identifies policies that will accelerate deployment of nanotechnology. NSET also tracks national priority needs that would benefit from the NNI, identifies extramural activities that connect to NNI goals, and explores ways the federal government can advance the development of nanotechnology. More information is available at nano.gov. About this document is a supplement to the President's 2025 budget request submitted to Congress on March 11, 2024, and serves as the annual report for the National Nanotechnology Initiative called for under the provisions of the 21st Century Nanotechnology Research and Development Act 15 U.S.C. Section 7501. The report also addresses the requirement for Department of Defense reporting on its nanotechnology investments 10 U.S.C. Section 2358. Additional information about the NNI is available on the NNI website. nano.gov. About the cover outside covers. A silicon-on-glass platform of nanostructures that form an ultra-thin, flat lens that uses precisely designed and fabricated 50 nanometers nanostructures to manipulate and focus a broad spectrum of light onto a single focal point is shown. Created with electron beam lithography, where a beam of electrons draws a pattern on a material surface, this lens is compact and lightweight for optical components in many applications such as mass production of semiconductor components using photolithography. See doi.org. Image credit. Nanolight, the Pennsylvania State University. Inside back cover. The inside face of the back cover is a collage of images from a National Nanotechnology Coordination Office (NNCO) symposium on March 5, 2024, celebrating the 20-year anniversary of the authorization of the NNI. Collage content and design is by Kristen Molish of NNCO. Disclaimer: reference in this report to any product, service, enterprise, or individual, including any written works, i.e., books, articles, papers, is not an endorsement and does not imply official U.S. government sanction or endorsement of those entities or their views. Links to non-U.S. government websites do not constitute or imply official U.S. government or OSTP endorsement of or responsibility for the opinions, ideas, data, or products presented at those locations, or guarantee the validity of the information provided. Acknowledgements and copyright information. The report was drafted, assembled, and edited by Jeffrey Holdridge and Stephanie Mack of NNCO. Cover design is by Kristen Molish of NNCO. Book design is by NNCO staff. This document is a work of the United States government and is in the public domain, see 17 U.S.C. Section 105. Subject to stipulations below, it may be distributed and copied, with acknowledgement to NNCO. Copyrights to graphics included in this document are reserved by original copyright holders or their assignees and are used here under the government's license and by permission. Requests to use any images must be made to the provider identified in the image credits, or to NNCO if no provider is identified. Published in the United States of America, 2024. I. National Science and Technology Council Chair, Arati Prabhakar, Assistant to the President for Science and Technology Director, White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Acting Executive Director, Lisa Friedersdorf, Assistant Director for Critical Minerals and Materials, Office of Science and Technology Policy. Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology NSET Subcommittee. NSET Subcommittee County Chairs, Brandon Brow, OSTP Andrew R. Schwartz, Do J. Vietas, NIOSH National Nanotechnology Coordination Office. Brandon Brow, Director Quinn Spadola, Deputy Director. NSET Subcommittee Executive Secretary. Stephanie A. Mack, NNCO Nanotechnology Environmental and Health Implications NEHI Working Group County Chairs. John Howard, NIOSH Trey A. Thomas, CPSC. NSET Subcommittee Participants. Office of Science and Technology Policy OSTP, Brandon Brow Office of Management and Budget Danielle Jones William McNavage Consumer Product Safety Commission CPSC. Joanna Matheson Trey A. Thomas Department of Agriculture USDA Agricultural Research Service Ars John Folk Forest Service FS Kenneth Swick National Institute of Food and Agriculture NIFA Hongda Chen. Department of Commerce Doc Bureau of Industry and Security BIS Kelly Gardner International Trade Administration Ida Tracy Gersel National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST Angela Heidwalker J. Alexander Little Patent and Trademark Office USPTO Tariq Hafiz Matthew W. Such Department of Defense DoD Conrad Bussman Jeffrey Depriest Mark H. Greep Aisha Haynes Michael Holth John Camp Akbar Khan Andy J. Makin and Heather Meeks Woody S. Miller Brian D. Pate Victor Pugliano David M. Step, through September 2024. An independent commission that is represented on NSET but is non-voting. E. Department of Energy Do Linda Hordentina M. Karsberg Harriet Kung Andrew R. Schwartz Department of Health and Human Services HHS Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry ATSDR National Center for Environmental Health NCEH Custodio V. Myonga Max Zarate Bermudez Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority Bardot Sandeep Patel Food and Drug Administration FDA Anil Patri National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health NIOSH Vladimir V. Marashov J. Vietas National Institutes of Health NIH Peter Grzinski David Rampola Luisa M. Russell Department of Homeland Security DHS Laura Parker Department of the Interior DOI Bureau of Reclamation USVR Kenneth Novak Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement BSEE Candy Hudson Geological Survey USGS Jeffrey Stevens. Department of Justice DOJ National Institute of Justice NIJ Greg Dutton Kyle Fox Mark Green Department of Labor DAL Occupational Safety and Health Administration OSHA Janet Carter Department of State Andrea Paulapal Kathleen E. Stevens Mar Tedros Department of Transportation. David Keene Department of the Treasury Heather Hill Environmental Protection Agency EPA Annette Gaizapieli International Trade Commission USITC. Elizabeth R. Nesbitt National Aeronautics and Space Administration NASA Tiffany S. Williams Nuclear Regulatory Commission NRC. Steve Ruffin U.S. National Science Foundation NSF Kirst Cooper Richard Nash Mihail C. Rocco Norris Savage Birgit Schwenzer Thomas Woodson. An independent commission that is represented on NSET but is non-voting. E. Table of Contents. Abbreviations and Acronyms. IV. Executive Summary. V1. Introduction. 1. About the National Nanotechnology Initiative. 1. External reviews of the NNI. 4. Outline of this report. 4. 2. NNI Budget. 5. Budget Summary. 5. Breakout of funding by PCA. 7. SBIR and STTR funding to advance nanotechnology. 10.3. Highlights of NNI progress and plans. 12. Progress on Goal 1. Ensure that the United States remains a world leader in nanotechnology research and development. 12. Plans for PCA 1. Foundational research. 15. Progress on Goal 2. Promote commercialization of nanotechnology R&D. 21. Plans for PCA 2. Nanotechnology-enabled applications, devices, and systems. 25. Progress on Goal 3. Provide the infrastructure to sustainably support nanotechnology research, development, and deployment. 31. Plans for PCA 3. Research infrastructure and instrumentation. 34. Progress on Goal 4. Engage the public and expand the nanotechnology workforce. 37. Plans for PCA 4. Education and workforce development. 39. Progress on Goal 5. Ensure the responsible development of nanotechnology. 41. Plans for PCA 5. Responsible development. 45. Progress on the Nano 4 Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. 51. Plans for the Nano 4 Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. 53. Appendix A. Contact list. 58. IV. Abbreviations and acronyms 1. 2D. 2-dimensional 3D. 3-dimensional AFOSR Air Force Office of Scientific Research AFRI. Agriculture and Food Research Initiative USDA NIFA AFRL. Air Force Research Laboratory AI. Artificial Intelligence ARL. Army Research Laboratory AERO. Army Research Office CBET. Chemical, Bioengineering, Environmental and Transport Systems NSF Division CDER. Center for Drug Evaluation and Research FDA CFSAN Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition FDA CNC. Cellulose Nanocrystal CNMS Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences DOE ORNL CNST. Center for Nanoscale Science and Technology NIST CENT. Carbon Nanotube Cores. Communities of Research USEU DAC. Direct Air Capture DARPA Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency DMREF Designing Materials to Revolutionize and Engineer Our Future NSF EFMA. Emerging Frontiers and Multidisciplinary Activities NSF EHS. Environment ALP Health and Safety ELSI. Ethical, Legal, and Other Social Implications ENG. Directorate for Engineering NSF ENM Engineered Nanomaterial EPSCOR Established Program to Stimulate Competitive Research Program ERDC. Engineering Research and Development Center US. Army GHG. Greenhouse Gas ISN. Institute for Soldier Nanotechnologies Army ISO. International Organization for Standardization. 1. See Table 1, page 2, for abbreviations of NNI participating agencies not spelled out in this list. ITAR. International Traffic in Arms Regulations LNP. Lipid Nanoparticle ML. Machine Learning. MOF. Metal Organic Framework. mRNA Messenger RNA Nano EHS Nanotechnology Environment, Health, and Safety Research, etc. NCI. National Cancer Institute NIH NCL. Nanotechnology Characterization Laboratory NIH NCTR National Center for Toxicological Research FDA NAHI. Nanotechnology Environmental and Health Implications Working Group NIAID National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases NIH NIBUB National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering NIH NIDCR National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research NIH NIES National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences NIH NENC. National Nanotechnology Challenge NNCI. National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure NSF NNCO National Nanotechnology Coordination Office NNI. National Nanotechnology Initiative NRL. Naval Research Laboratory NSET. Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology Subcommittee of the NSTC NSRC Nanoscale Science Research Center DOE NSTC. National Science and Technology Council OECD Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development OM. Office of Management and Budget Executive Office of the President ONR. Office of Naval Research ORNL. Oak Ridge National Laboratory OSTP Office of Science and Technology Policy Executive Office of the President. Versus PCA. Program Component Area of the National Nanotechnology Initiative PCAST President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology PFAs. Per and Polyfluoroalkyl Substances QIS. Quantum Information Science R&D. Research and Development RADX RAD Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics Radical NIH Initiative REU. Research Experiences for Undergraduates NSF. SBIR. Small Business Innovation Research Program STEM Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics STTR. Small Business Technology Transfer Research Program WPMN Working Party on Manufactured Nanomaterials OECD. V. Executive Summary. The U.S. National Nanotechnology Initiative NNI is working to leverage the power of nanotechnology to benefit everyone in America. Nanotechnology encompasses the understanding and control of matter at the level of atoms and molecules where unique phenomena enable novel applications. It has led to revolutions in areas such as aerospace, agriculture, infrastructure, clean energy, water purification, consumer electronics, faster microchips, artificial intelligence, powerful messenger RNA, mRNA, vaccines, and underpins technologies of the future. Nanotechnology plays a role in ensuring America's national and economic security, delivering clean and reliable energy, improving robust health outcomes, clean water access, and food safety in abundance. President Biden's 2025 budget requests over $2.20 billion for the NNI, with cumulative funding totaling over $45 billion since the inception of the NNI in 2001 when Congress approved increased funding for nanotechnology in fiscal year 2021 appropriations. References to years in this report are to fiscal years unless otherwise noted. The NNI was formally authorized in the 21st Century Nanotechnology Research and Development Act of 2003. This highest ever request reflects the United States' global leadership in the fundamental understanding and control of matter at the nanoscale. NNI investments in foundational nanoscale science, research infrastructure, and education support efforts to renew U.S. leadership in the semiconductor and microelectronics industries under the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022. The NNI investments in 2023 and 2024 and those proposed in 2025 include strong support for broad, fundamental research in nanoscience and increased funding for the translation of that knowledge into technological breakthrough to the benefit of society. The President's budget includes nanotechnology investments that will harness the full diversity of America's research and development R&D community to advance the progress of the NNI to drive a world-class research portfolio, facilitate commercialization of nanotechnology-enabled applications, develop and sustain a dynamic infrastructure and skilled workforce, and ensure responsible development of nanotechnology for the benefit of all Americans. B. Nanotechnology encompasses science, engineering, and technology that enables understanding, measuring, manipulating, and manufacturing at the atomic, molecular, and supramolecular levels, aimed at creating materials, devices, and systems with fundamentally new molecular organization, properties, and functions. Point 2. The size regime that researchers can achieve this level of understanding and precision is referred to as the nanoscale, a size range that gets its name from a nanometer, which is 1/1,000,000,000 of a meter. Nanoscale materials can behave differently than the same bulk material. For example, a material's melting point, color, strength, chemical reactivity, and more may change at the nanoscale. Nanotechnology represents the cutting edge of most scientific disciplines and therefore has broad application across many R&D priorities, such as energy-efficient artificial intelligence, microelectronics, quantum information science, biotechnology, and advanced materials and manufacturing. Multidisciplinary collaboration across the field of nanotechnology is ensuring renewed U.S. leadership in the microelectronics industry and in advanced computing and communications. This is fueling progress on many other national priorities, including global security and stability, meeting the challenge of climate change, achieving better health outcomes, and ensuring future economic competitiveness. Examples of nanotechnology innovations are illustrated below. A new method to layer atomically thin materials for artificial intelligence computing chips that improves efficiency and performance. B. New lipid nanoparticles that can transport treatments directly to the lungs and retina. C. Increasing carbon capture efficiency with nature-inspired atomically precise catalysts. D. Students touring the clean room at the NNCI CENIC site that provides researchers a one-stop shop for nanoscale science and engineering tools. E. Highly sensitive and ultrafast breath sensor using nanoscale silk processing to create hybrid biological transistors. F. Using machine learning to predict material properties based on the molecular structures of polymers. Image credits. A. Washington University in St. Louis. B. Oregon State University. C. University of Central Florida. D. Georgia Institute of Technology. E. Tufts University Silk Lab. F. National Renewable Energy Laboratory. For more information on nanotechnology benefits and applications, please visit nano.gov. What is nanotechnology? A, B, C, D, E, F. National Nanotechnology Initiative Supplement to the President's 2025 Budget. 1. Introduction. About the National Nanotechnology Initiative. The National Nanotechnology Initiative (NNI) is a U.S. government research and development R&D initiative involving 20 federal departments, independent agencies, and commissions working together toward the shared vision of a future in which the ability to understand and control matter at the nanoscale leads to ongoing revolutions in technology and industry that benefit society. The NNI establishes national shared goals, priorities, and strategies to enhance global leadership through interagency coordination of nanotechnology R&D. This work builds on agency-specific missions and activities and creates government efficiency by leveraging resources and avoiding duplication. It also supports an extensive nanotechnology research infrastructure, including user facilities and multidisciplinary research centers, that facilitates the work of America's scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs in many other fields of science and technology. Table 1 lists the agencies currently participating in the NNI. The NNI contributes to multiple Biden-Harris administration and national priorities. Point 3. For example, in the areas of artificial intelligence (AI) and autonomous systems, NNI participating agencies are funding research on novel processing hardware for AI computing, for and low-power computing devices to increase energy efficiency of AI applications. Nanotechnology also contributes to America's national security in many ways, enabling advances in a wide variety of critical and emerging technologies. In particular, NNI research, infrastructure, and workforce development efforts are foundational to achieving the goals of the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, Public Law 117-167, which are vital to both national and economic security. The NNI is contributing to increasing climate resilience through the National Nanotechnology Challenge (NNC) Nano 4 EARTH, coordinating research across the agencies on interfacial technologies, e.g., for reducing friction, novel energy storage technologies, greenhouse gas capture, and improved catalysis. Point 5. Meanwhile, NNI funding for nanotechnology health research has reached an all-time high. This funding includes over $900 million in annual investments by NIH alone, along with other important contributions from FDA, CDC, BARDA, and basic research agencies, e.g., NSF and DOE, as nanotechnology-enabled diagnostic and therapeutic technologies for a wide variety of human health threats, from cancer to antimicrobial resistance, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances PFAS, and many others, successfully compete for funding. This document includes examples of how the NNI participating agencies are harnessing nanotechnology R&D and education programs to reduce barriers and inequities, from workforce development to economic progress in historically underserved communities. NNI participating agencies support applied research, experimental development, pre-commercialization, and standards-related efforts that build the nation's economic competitiveness, facilitating the adoption of a wide range of nanotechnologies, and helping create good-paying jobs across the country, including in both traditional and emerging industries. All the while, the coordination provided through the NNI has facilitated the proactive responsible development of new technologies, thereby streamlining their adoption. 3. Whitehouse.gov. 4. DOI.org. 5. Nano.gov. See examples of Nano for Earth activities in progress beginning on p. 51. 2. Table 1. Federal departments and agencies participating in the NNI Consumer Product Safety Commission (CPSC*). Department of Agriculture USDA. Agricultural Research Service (ARS). Forest Service FS. National Institute of Food and Agriculture NIFA*. Department of Commerce DOC. Bureau of Industry and Security BIS. Economic Development Administration EDA. International Trade Administration ITA. National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST. Patent and Trademark Office USPTO. Department of Defense DoD *. Department of Education ed. Department of Energy DOE *. Department of Health and Human Services HHS. Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry ATSDR. Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority BARDA. Food and Drug Administration FDA. National Center for Environmental Health NCEH. National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health NIOSH. National Institutes of Health NIH * Department of Homeland Security DHS. Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction Office. Science and Technology Directorate Department of the Interior DOI. Bureau of Reclamation USBR. Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement BSEE. Geological Survey USGS Department of Justice DOJ. National Institute of Justice NIJ * Department of Labor DOL. Occupational Safety and Health Administration OSHA Department of State Department of Transportation DOT. Federal Highway Administration FHWA * Department of the Treasury Environmental Protection Agency EPA * Intelligence Community IC International Trade Commission USITC. National Aeronautics and Space Administration NASA * Nuclear Regulatory Commission NRC. U.S. National Science Foundation NSF * denotes agencies or organizations within agencies reporting funding for nanotechnology R&D in Table 5 below. Denotes an independent commission that is represented on NSET but is non-voting. The foundational nanotechnology research funded under the NNI continues to strengthen and advance America's global leadership in science and technology, and the NNI's research infrastructure provides free or affordable access to state-of-the-art facilities and expertise that push the boundaries of nanoscale science. This report highlights nanotechnology research accomplishments funded under the 3. NE reviews plans for future R&D initiatives by the participating agencies, and provides a directory of program managers and other points of contact at NNI participating agencies, thus enhancing transparency and public access to federally funded programs and research results, and assisting emerging research institutions to compete for federal funding. The NNI supports research across the spectrum from early-stage fundamental science to applications-driven R&D. It also provides research infrastructure and educational and workforce development activities, from K-12 through postgraduate research training, that are critical to many other areas of science and technology. The NNI serves as a model for the responsible development of emerging technologies. The purposeful coordination of interagency R&D efforts allows laboratory breakthroughs to be explored as promising technologies while investigations into their potential societal implications are being performed in parallel. In 2024, NNI participating agencies have completed a multi-year effort to update and refresh the 2011 NNI Environmental Health and Safety EHS Research Strategy. 6. Under the auspices of the NNI, multiple agencies work together to leverage their respective knowledge and resources, creating a program that is greater than the sum of the individual agency activities. The NNI works with academia and the private sector to promote technology transfer and facilitate commercialization, which is proceeding at an accelerating pace. Thanks in part to the focused attention of a national initiative, nanotechnology is responsible for over 171,000 jobs across 3,700 U.S. companies that are conducting nanotechnology R&D alone. 7. According to another study, the economic impact of nanotechnology on the U.S. economy was close to $1 trillion over the past 2 decades and $67 to $83 billion in 2022, which does not include major industries that have been enabled by nanotechnology. Including the semiconductor industry alone pushes the 2022 estimate to $268 minus $297 billion. 8. Strategic collaborations, including with public-private partnerships, non-governmental organizations, and international like-minded allies and partners, help to promote progress in nanoscale science, engineering, and technology, broad and equitable distribution of the benefits of nanotechnology, and the responsible development of nanotechnology. All of these NNI activities are coordinated by the Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology NSET Subcommittee of the National Science and Technology Council NSTC. 9. NSET participating agencies also financially support the National Nanotechnology Coordination Office (NNCO), which plays an essential role in NSET activities, facilitating interagency communication and collaborations, communicating with the broader nanotechnology community, and promoting international partnerships. Per the 21st Century Nanotechnology R&D Act, NNCO provides technical and administrative support to the NSET subcommittee, e.g., preparing this report serves as the central point of contact for the NNI, conducts public outreach on behalf of the NNI, e.g., hosting the NNI's public website, nano.gov, and promotes access to and early application of the technologies, innovations, and expertise arising from the need for the benefit of the nation. In recent years, NNCO has also played a particularly important role in advancing multidisciplinary and experiential nanotechnology education and workforce development activities. Each year NNI participating agencies review and approve the NNCO budget and contribute to its funding. 6. Nano.gov. 7. Nano.gov. 8. Nano.gov. 9. See the list of agencies and their representatives participating in the NSET subcommittee in the front matter of this report. 4. External reviews of the NNI. The NNI was reviewed in 2023 by the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology (PCAST) in its capacity as the National Nanotechnology Advisory Panel, as called for in the 21st Century Nanotechnology R&D Act. The PCAST Report 10 includes 3 recommendations for updating federal government coordination and support for nanotechnology, reflecting the significant advances that have occurred under the auspices of the NI and the maturity and broad relevance of the field. These recommendations are: 1. The President work with Congress to sunset or substantially revise the 21st Century Nanotechnology Research and Development Act. 2. The Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy (OSTP) work with the Executive Director of the National Science and Technology Council (NSTC) to direct the Nanoscale Science, Engineering, and Technology (NSET) subcommittee to continue leadership for federal coordination of nanotechnology strategic planning, implementation, and outreach. And 3. The NSET subcommittee enhance experiential learning programs for nanotechnology students and scientists to create the collaborative, multidisciplinary workforce needed for nanotechnology and other advanced technologies. In consultation with OSTP and the Office of Management and Budget the NNI participating agencies are developing plans to implement PCAST's recommendations. With respect to Recommendation 1, NNI reauthorization plans are being considered that would update the 21st Century Nanotechnology Research and Development Act to reflect the current needs of the NNI. The NSET subcommittee is continuing its leadership of the NNI, as called for in Recommendation 2 and documented in this report. As a first step in addressing Recommendation 3, NNCO is supporting NNI participating agencies in planning an in-person convening in March 2025 to raise awareness of programs and practices in multidisciplinary experiential learning programs across the federal government. The Experiential and Multidisciplinary Learning and Education Example Convening's agenda will include panels showcasing the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration, discussing metrics and evaluation, highlighting success stories and professionals who went through multidisciplinary programs, and discussing the role of user facilities in experiential training. The National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine began its review of the NNI in 2024, also in accordance with the Act. This study is focusing on a review of the composition of the science and engineering community currently being served by the nation's nanotechnology research and development infrastructure, with the goal of identifying barriers for communities that are not fully engaging with this infrastructure. Outline of this report. Chapter 2 of this report is an overview of the budgets for nanotechnology R&D for 2023 actual, 2024 estimated, and 2025 requested, as well as funding amounts and examples of nanotechnology R&D topics funded under the Small Business Innovation Research (SBIR) and Small Business Technology Transfer Research (STTR) programs. Chapter 3 presents examples of individual agency and collective NNI progress toward the goals set out in the 2021 NNI Strategic Plan 11 and highlights of agency plans and priorities by program component area. PC 8.12 Contact information for agency representatives to the NSET subcommittee and for NNCO staff is provided in Appendix A. 10. Whitehouse.gov. 11. Nano.gov. 12 PCA definitions are posted on nano.gov at nano.gov. 5. 2. NNI budget. Budget summary. The President's 2025 budget requests an all-time record of $2.20 billion for the NNI, with a sustained investment in foundational research that will fuel new discoveries and increasing investments in application-driven R&D to advance technologies of the future and address national priorities. Cumulative NNI funding since its inception in 2001 totals over $45 billion, including the 2025 request. Figure 1 shows the funding trends over time. Table 2 shows total NNI funding by agency for fiscal years 2023 through 2025. NNI investments support research to understand matter at the nanoscale and to translate this knowledge into technological breakthroughs that benefit all Americans. The NNI investments in 2023 and 2024 and those proposed for 2025 reflect a continued emphasis on fundamental research in nanoscience, programs to advance applications, devices, and systems, and support for the responsible development of nanotechnology. NNI agencies also support significant investments in research infrastructure, developing new research tools, and making these tools available through user facilities, as well as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education to prepare the workforce of the future. The NNI budget represents the sum of nanotechnology-related investments allocated by each participating agency, the NI crosscut. Each agency determines its budget for programs supporting nanotechnology R&D in coordination with OSTP, and Congress. However, since nanotechnology is so ingrained in the nation's R&D activities, determining what is or is not nanotechnology can be challenging. NNI agencies collaborate closely, facilitated through the NSET Subcommittee, its Nanotechnology Environmental and Health Implications NEHI Working Group, several informal communities of interest, and the NNCO, to create an integrated R&D program that leverages and amplifies resources to advance NNI goals and meet individual agency mission needs and objectives. This document reports agency investments using existing appropriations, as well as supplemental funding. Major supplemental funding in 2020-2022, shown in Figure 1 below, by the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority related to the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic is particularly noteworthy. Figure 1. NNI funding by agency, 2001-2025. 2021-2024 figures include supplemental funding. BARDA supplemental investments blue dots not included in line graph totals. 2009 figures do not include American Recovery and Reinvestment Act funds for DOE, NSF, NIH, and NIST. 2024 numbers are based on appropriated levels. 2025 budget. 6. Table 2. NNI budget, by agency, 2023-2025 dollars in millions agency. 2023 actual, 2024 estimated, 2025 proposed CPSC. 0.4, 0.05, 0.05 DHS CWMD. 0.4, 0.5, 0.0, .NIST, 53.3, 53.2, 53.6, DOD, 269.7, 354.7, 335.6, DOE, 441.2, 442.7, 457.8, DOJ NIJ, 2.2, 1.8, 1.3, .FHWA, 0.6, 0.3, 0.3, EPA, 4.2, 4.3, 2.8, HHS total, 876.4, 866.2, 926.3, BARDA, 2.1, 2.1, 2.1, FDA, 10.4, 11.9, 10.6, NIH, 854.7, 842.6, 903.9, NIOSH, 9.2, 9.6, 9.6, NASA, 14.3, 11.5, 5.3, NSF, 477.7, 362.6, 430.8, USDA total, 21.4, 20.6, 21.6, Rs, 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, FS, 4.4, 4.6, 4.6, NIFA, 12.0, 11.0, 12.0, total, 2,161.7, 2,118.3, 2,235.2. 2024 numbers are based on appropriated levels. Funding levels for DoD include the combined budgets of the Air Force, Army, Navy, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, and the Joint Program Executive Office for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Defense. Funding levels for DOE include the combined budgets of the Office of Science, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, Office of Nuclear Energy, Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, and the Advanced Research Projects Agency Energy. Funding levels for NASA reflect the completion of multiple nanotechnology-related projects. In tables 2 to 6, totals may not add, due to rounding. The President's 2025 budget includes a $2.20 billion request for nanotechnology R&D to support nanoscale science, engineering, and technology R&D at 12 agencies, including multiple departments, offices within several agencies such as DoD, HHS, USDA, and DOE. See Table 2 above in the footnotes for DoD and DOE. The 5 federal organizations with the largest proposed 2025 investments, representing 98% of the NNI total, are HHS NIH nanotechnology-based biomedical research at the intersection of life and physical sciences. DOE fundamental and applied research providing a basis for new and improved energy technologies and support for nanotechnology research infrastructure. NSF fundamental research and education across all disciplines of science and engineering. DoD science and engineering research advancing defense and dual-use capabilities. NIST fundamental research and development of measurement and fabrication tools, analytical methodologies, metrology, and standards for nanotechnology. 7. For 2023 through 2025, some NNI participating agencies NIST, DOE, NASA, NSF, and USDA-RS have estimated the approximate percentages of their investments that are in support of the Nano for Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. Based on these estimates, collectively the investment from these agencies on clean energy, energy efficiency, and environmental sustainability totals to roughly 10%. The estimated Nano 4 EARTH related funding in the 2025 request is up approximately 10% compared to the 2024 request that was published in the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget. 13. Breakout of funding by PCA. Tables 3 to 5 show the funding for 2023-2025 by agency and program component area. The PCAs are aligned with the goals in the 2021 NNI strategic plan. PCA definitions can be found on nano.gov 14 and at the beginning of each of the PCA sections of Chapter 3 of this report below. Table 3, Actual 2023 Agency Investments by Program Component Area dollars in millions. CPSC, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.4, 0.4, DHS CWMD, 0.0, 0.4, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.4, NIST, 14.3, 8.5, 27.5, 0.0, 3.0, 53.3, DOD, 208.4, 60.1, 0.0, 0.2, 1.0, 269.7, DOE, 237.6, 39.3, 164.3, 0.0, 0.0, 441.2, DOJ NIJ, 0.5, 1.6, 0.0, 0.1, 0.0, 2.2, FHWA, 0.0, 0.6, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.6, EPA, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 4.2, 4.2, HHS total, 215.8, 610.3, 17.8, 4.3, 28.2, 876.4, BARDA, 0.0, 2.1, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 2.1, FDA, 4.0, 5.3, 0.0, 0.0, 1.1, 10.4, NIH, 211.8, 602.9, 17.8, 4.3, 17.9, 854.7, NIOSH, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 9.2, 9.2, NASA, 0.0, 14.3, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 14.3, NSF, 285.5, 127.6, 26.2, 23.3, 15.1, 477.7, USDA total, 4.0, 16.4, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 21.4, Rs, 0.0, 5.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 5.0, FS, 0.0, 4.4, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 4.4, NIFA, 4.0, 7.0, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 12.0, total, 966.1, 879.1, 235.8, 27.9, 52.9, 2,161.7, asterisk, NIH totals include $12 million in supplemental 2023 funding, $10.40 million for PCA 1 and $1.60 million for PCA 2. NSF totals include $2.40 million in supplemental 2023 funding, $1 million for PCA 1, $1.10 million for PCA 2, 20 cents million for PCA 3, and 10 cents million for PCA 5, rounded to the nearest tenth of a million. 13. Nano.gov, P. 7. 14. Nano.gov. 8. Table 4. Estimated 2024 agency investments by program component area, dollars in millions, asterisk agency. PCA 1, PCA 2, PCA 3, PCA 4, PCA 5, total CPSC. 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.05, 0.05 DHS CWMD. 0.0, 0.5, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.5, NIST, 14.9, 8.1, 27.4, 0.0, 2.8, 53.2, DOD, 276.6, 70.1, 6.7, 0.2, 1.1, 354.7, DOE, 238.0, 40.2, 164.5, 0.0, 0.0, 442.7, DOJ NIJ, 0.5, 1.2, 0.0, 0.1, 0.0, 1.8, FHWA, 0.0, 0.3, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.3, EPA, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 4.3, 4.3, HHS total, 208.2, 607.2, 17.8, 4.3, 28.7, 866.2, BARDA, 0.0, 2.1, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 2.1, FDA, 5.4, 5.3, 0.0, 0.0, 1.2, 11.9, NIH, 202.8, 599.8, 17.8, 4.3, 17.9, 842.6, NIOSH, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 9.6, 9.6, NASA, 0.0, 11.5, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 11.5, NSF, 230.9, 78.4, 21.8, 18.0, 13.5, 362.6, USDA total, 3.0, 16.6, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 20.6, Rs, 0.0, 5.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 5.0, FS, 0.0, 4.6, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 4.6, NIFA, 3.0, 7.0, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 11.0, total, 972.1, 834.0, 238.2, 22.6, 51.4, 2118.3. Table 5, Proposed 2025 Agency Investments by Program Component Area, Dollars and Millions Agency. PCA 1, PCA 2, PCA 3, PCA 4, PCA 5, Total CPSC, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.05, 0.05. NIST, 15.3, 8.1, 27.4, 0.0, 2.8, 53.6, DOD, 254.9, 67.5, 12.6, 0.2, 0.5, 335.6, DOE, 235.8, 47.0, 175.0, 0.0, 0.0, 457.8, DOJ NIJ, 0.0, 1.2, 0.0, 0.1, 0.0, 1.3, FHWA, 0.0, 0.3, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.3, EPA, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 2.8, 2.8, HHS total, 232.4, 639.9, 18.3, 4.8, 30.9, 926.3, BARDA, 0.0, 2.1, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 2.1, FDA, 4.0, 5.5, 0.0, 0.0, 1.2, 10.6, NIH, 228.4, 632.3, 18.3, 4.8, 20.1, 903.9, NIOSH, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 9.6, 9.6, NASA, 0.0, 5.3, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 5.3, NSF, 258.4, 113.1, 23.7, 20.5, 15.1, 430.8, USDA total, 4.0, 16.6, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 21.6, Rs, 0.0, 5.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 5.0, FS, 0.0, 4.6, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 4.6, NIFA, 4.0, 7.0, 0.0, 0.0, 1.0, 12.0, total, 1000.7, 898.8, 257.0, 25.6, 53.1, 2235.2. Headings in tables 4 and 5 are abbreviated to PCA numbers. NIH totals include $1.50 million in supplemental 2024 funding, $1.30 million for PCA 1 and 20 cents, million for PCA 2, 9, Most of these nanotechnology investments come from core R&D programs, which makes it difficult to predict the success rate of nanotechnology-related proposals. Therefore, actual investments are often higher than the previously published estimates or proposed values. For example, the actual NNI investment for 2023, nearly $2.20 billion, is significantly higher than the 2023 requested value published in the NNI supplement to the President's 2023 budget, nearly $2 billion. As nanotechnology and its applications mature, investments by some agencies and departments that perform research to facilitate their missions have risen in recent years. Most notably, NICE investments have more than doubled in 10 years, from less than $400 million in 2015 to over $900 million in the 2025 request, even as nanotechnology-specific NIH programs have sunset. FDA's nanotechnology investments are also up from figures reported previously, from just under $8 million per year 15 to between $10 million and $12 million per year for 2023-2025, as more nanotechnology-enabled medical products are coming to the agency for review. The percentage of total NNI investments in the applications, devices, and systems (PCAs) has risen from under 24% in 2016 to about 40% in 2023-2025. Nanotechnology is proving itself increasingly as a solution contributing to agency mission requirements. However, even as nanotechnology applications emerge, it is vital to maintain the pipeline of fundamental research investments that will enable the development of future applications. The NNI request for foundational research PCA1 for 2025 is sustained at about $1 billion. Many of the proposed 2025 NNI investments outlined in this report support efforts to renew U.S. leadership in the semiconductor and microelectronics industries authorized and funded under the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, Public Law 117-167. Foundational nanomaterials research PCA1 and nanoelectronic devices and systems PCA2 are enabling leapfrog capabilities in microelectronics and impacts in artificial intelligence. As called out repeatedly in the March 2024 National Strategy for Microelectronics Research, 16 dramatic improvements in the energy efficiency of semiconductor devices are critical for continued progress in the U.S. microelectronics industry, and this is particularly important for compute-intensive applications such as AI. Nanotechnology is key to addressing this issue, with R&D on new nanoscale hardware-based solutions. The DOE Microelectronics Science Research Centers authorized in the CHIPS and Science Act and funded beginning in 202,417 will expand investments in early-stage innovations. Existing microelectronics research infrastructure supported through the NSF-funded National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure (NNCI), the DOE Nanoscale Science Research Centers (NSRCs), and the NIST Center for Nanoscale Science and Technology (CNST), and Boulder Microfabrication Facility, as well as several DoD-supported centers PCA3 also provide a strong foundation for the additional microelectronics infrastructure being developed with CHIPS and Science Act funding. 18 NSF is expanding on its existing nanoscience and engineering education programs PCA4 to develop the semiconductor workforce and education activities funded under the CHIPS and Science Act. NNCO provides leadership and staff support for the NSTC's Subcommittee on Microelectronics Leadership, and the NNI participating agencies coordinate their nanotechnology investments to maximize the leveraging of existing NNI activities to benefit the Subcommittee on Microelectronics Leadership's whole-of-government efforts in microelectronics R&D, education, and infrastructure. 15 is reported in the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget, p. 6. 16. Whitehouse.gov. 17. Energy.gov. 18. See the plans for PCA2 section below, beginning on page 25, for details on the new nanotechnology-related investments under the CHIPS and Science Act. 10. SBIR and STTR funding to advance nanotechnology. This section of the report includes information on use of the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs to support nanotechnology development, as well as highlights of agency SBIR and STTR topics that support the accelerated deployment and application of nanotechnology R&D with potential for commercialization. Table 6 shows agency funding for SBIR and STTR awards for nanotechnology R&D from 2019 through 2022. 2022 is the latest year for which nanotechnology award data researched by agencies and OMB are available. NNI participating agencies have supported nearly $2.50 billion in nanotechnology SBIR and STTR awards, both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Since 2004.19 total nanotechnology SBIR, STTR investments reached an all-time high of over $250 million in 2022. Even though not all agencies specifically identify nanotechnology in their SBIR, STTR solicitations, their actions are enabling innovations in many nanotechnology-related R&D application areas. Information on progress and plans in programs other than SBIR, STTR in promoting commercialization of nanotechnology innovations is included in Chapter 3 of this report, Goal 2 and PCA2 sections. Table 6, 2019-2022 agency SBIR and STTR awards dollars in millions. 2019, 2020, 2021. 2022 agency, SBIR STTR total SBIR STTR total SBIR STTR total SBIR STTR total DHS 2.0, 0.0, 2.0, 1.0, 0.0, 1.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, NIST 1.1, 0.0, 1.1, 1.9, 0.0, 1.9, 1.3, 0.0, 1.3, 3.9, 0.0, 3.9, DoD 63.5, 22.5, 86.0, 51.5, 17.8, 69.3, 45.5, 23.1, 68.6, 85.5, 23.7, 109.2, DOE 31.2, 3.4, 34.6, 26.0, 3.7, 29.7, 27.3, 8.8, 36.0, 44.1, 13.2, 57.3, EPA 0.7, 0.0, 0.7, 0.5, 0.0, 0.5, 0.6, 0.0, 0.6, 0.2, 0.0, 0.2, HHS NIH 42.6, 5.5, 48.1, 42.9, 5.7, 48.6, 41.8, 6.5, 48.3, 38.7, 7.0, 45.7, NASA 7.7, 1.6, 9.3, 6.5, 2.8, 9.3, 9.7, 2.0, 11.7, 8.1, 1.3, 9.4, NSF 16.2, 3.4, 19.6, 19.0, 1.8, 20.8, 18.0, 5.1, 23.1, 16.7, 6.2, 22.9, USDA 0.8, 0.0, 0.8, 1.8, 0.0, 1.8, 3.2, 0.0, 3.2, 2.2, 0.0, 2.2, total 165.7, 36.4, 202.1, 151.0, 31.9, 182.8, 147.4, 45.4, 192.8, 199.3, 51.5, 250.8. The following is a small, representative sampling of the hundreds of nanotechnology SBIR and STTR topics funded by NNI participating agencies in 2022 that are supporting the development and application of nanotechnology R&D with potential for commercialization. Nano-electromechanical systems for non-destructive characterization of thin film materials NIST. Nano-array integrated microfibers for next-generation medical masks NIST. Carbon nanotube enhanced distillation for economic recovery of ethanol in the biofuel industry NEFA. Nanosorbents to capture environmental DNA for aquaculture health monitoring NEFA. Incorporating nanosilicon particles to improve high-energy density batteries at low-cost DOE. Recycling rare earth metals with bimetallic nanocatalysts DOE. Quantum communications for deep space exploration NASA. Compact, high-gain 2D nanomaterial-based mass spectrometers NASA. A cost-effective, portable, and automated platform for microplastics characterization EPA. Nanomaterials-based sensor chips for low-cost handheld sulfur dioxide tester EPA. 2004 was the first year that the NNI began collecting SBIR STTR data. 11. Nanopore and solid-state nanomaterials for improved DNA sequencing and for clinical genomics implementation NIH. Nanoscale adsorbent materials and infrared sensors to detect PFAS NIH. A multifunctional lipid nanoparticle delivery system for targeted delivery of vascular RNA therapeutics NSF. A unique aerogel-based separator technology for safe and ultrafast charging of batteries NSF. A protective nanocrystalline coating to enable consistent superlubricity DoD. Metal organic framework sponges for enhanced protection against warfare chemicals DoD. 12. 3. Highlights of NNI progress and plans. The 5 NNI goals are closely tied to the 5 PCAs that are intended to target funding toward advancing those goals. This chapter of the report includes selected highlights illustrating progress toward each of the NNI goals. This is followed by brief summaries of the current and future investment plans of the NNI participating agencies for the corresponding PCAs that will promote further progress on those goals. The examples are intended to be an illustrative sampling, but not a comprehensive list, of relevant federal agency activities. For more information and additional highlights, please see nano.gov. Progress on Goal 1. Ensure that the United States remains a world leader in nanotechnology research and development. Central to the NNI is support for nanotechnology R&D, from the fundamental discoveries that expand the boundaries of knowledge to the applied and translational breakthroughs that enable new products and help address societal challenges. The NNI agencies utilize a variety of R&D support mechanisms, e.g., grants, contracts, cooperative agreements, intramural research, and topical foci, in keeping with their respective missions. Interagency coordination facilitated through the NNI leverages these individual efforts and prevents duplication, nurturing a nanotechnology R&D community that makes important advances in diverse areas of fundamental and applied science. Such coordination also maintains U.S. leadership in nanotechnology R&D, as well as ensures that the United States remains the preferred international partner. Just a few selected examples of NNI progress under Goal 1, including many projects conducted in collaboration with international partners, are highlighted below. Harnessing the power of lipid nanoparticle mRNA technology to fight cancer. Researchers supported by NIH are designing lipid nanoparticles (LNPs) to increase the effectiveness of cancer immunotherapy by promoting their uptake by antigen-presenting cells, stimulating the maturation of these cells, and modulating the activity of adjuvants. They developed a method for screening LNPs to optimize the type of helper lipid and lipid component ratios, enhancing the delivery of tumor antigen encoding messenger RNA (mRNA) to dendritic cells and increasing immune system anti-tumor activity. In a mouse model of melanoma, after injection of the LNPs, they noted potent anti-tumor activity triggered by LNPs that elicited strong immune activity in both type 1 and type 2 T helper cells. 0.20. In complementary work supported by NIH, NSF, DoD, and private foundations, researchers have invented a novel genetic macrophage programming nanoparticle design that reprograms tumor-associated macrophages using targeted mRNA nanocarriers. 0.21. The targeted mRNA nanocarriers deliver transcribed mRNA encoding transcription factors that reprogram macrophages, resulting in a strong anti-tumor response without generating off-target toxicity. The research team has successfully achieved the scale production of good manufacturing practices (GMP-grade) nanoparticles. The team plans to use these nanoparticles in future clinical trials to treat chemotherapy-resistant ovarian cancer. 0.22. 20. doi.org. 21. doi.org. doi.org. 22. fredhutch.org. 13. Advancing the science of nanocatalysis to address national priorities. NNI participating agencies are pushing the frontiers of catalysis to improve energy efficiency of industrial processes, open new paths to renewable energy conversion, reduce or eliminate the need for critical minerals in catalytic processes, and enhance fundamental understanding and control of chemical processes at the nanoscale. For example, University and DOE National Laboratory scientists using resources of the DOE Nanoscale Science Research Centers and the NSF National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure developed a new technique that promotes catalyst production and enhances efficient chemical conversion using hydrogenation by catalysts with strong metal support interactions. This technique, using mechanical force to control nanoparticle encapsulation, introduces a new pathway for chemical production that is more energy efficient, easier to control than traditional methods, and has enhanced hydrogenation for industrial uses to transform small molecules into value-added chemicals. 0.23. In another example, DOE-supported researchers using facilities at DOE Center for Nanoscale Materials (CNM) NSRC and the Advanced Photon Source at Argonne National Laboratory developed an earth-abundant catalyst that lowers costs for producing clean hydrogen by water electrolysis. They developed a nanofibrous cobalt spinel catalyst doped with La and Mn to replace the expensive iridium-based catalyst presently used for oxygen evolution in water with proton exchange membrane electrolyzers. Such electrolyzers could run with renewable, intermittent energy, such as solar and wind. An electrolyzer with this anode catalyst could produce clean, lower-cost hydrogen for use in powering vehicles with fuel cells and as a chemical in industrial processes such as steelmaking and ammonia production. 0.24. In complementary work, another team at DOE CNM used ultrafast pump probe spectroscopy to reveal the mechanism by which tuning of surface plasmon resonances of gold nanocages can enhance photocatalytic water splitting on MOS2 to produce hydrogen at a rate 40x greater than previously possible with bare MOS2 nanosheets. This method for exploiting plasmonic nanomaterials to greatly enhance the activity of photocatalysts presents a new strategy to increase the efficiency of solar energy harvesting and enable practical clean hydrogen production. 0.25. Combining nanoscale additive manufacturing with tissue engineering to address heart disease. Researchers at the NSF-supported Engineering Research Center in Cellular Materials (CellMet) have developed technologies for directed multiscale assembly of cellular metamaterials with nanoscale precision, with the 10-year goal of developing a hybrid nanoscale additive manufacturing strategy to develop a centimeter-scale, vascularized cardiac tissue patch. The team is using nanotemplated. 23. doi.org. 24. doi.org. 25. doi.org. Artistic rendering of anode catalyst reacting in water via electrolysis. Oxygen bubbles evolving from fibrous, interconnected catalyst particles bright during electrocatalytic reaction with water. Lattice structure for cobalt-based catalyst on left. Image credit, L. Chong et al., ANL. Diagram of gold nanocages with MOS2 and tuned surface plasmon resonances. Image credit, R. Kung et al., CNM, with permission from the Royal Society of Chemistry. 14. Bioblock printing to generate cardiac microbundles that can be assembled into larger structures, with the ultimate goal of implanting fully vascularized cardiac patches into animal models. To enable the vascularization of these patches, the team developed a technique for loading endothelial cells with superparamagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles, which can then be seeded onto magnetized microfiber lattices, serving as the template for the vascular structures. Following encapsulation in a hydrogel, the capillary templating lattice is selectively degraded by a bacterial lipase that does not impact cell viability or function. 0.26. In employing an integrated engineering approach to achieving its goals, the team has made advances at the intersections of fields such as stem cell biology, nanoscaffold engineering, materials science, bioprinting, mechanobiology, and imaging. Enabling nanomedicine through understanding interactions between nanoparticles and cells. Researchers from NIST, the Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences CNMS NSRC at Duz Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and international collaborators, with additional support from NSF using the NSF-NIST Center for High-Resolution Neutron Scattering and the dose spallation neutron source, have determined why cell membranes can push away nanoparticles that approach them. The researchers discovered that this repulsion, which notably affects neutral, uncharged nanoparticles, happens in part because the smaller, charged molecules that the electric field attracts will crowd the membrane and push away the larger nanoparticles. Since many drug treatments are built around proteins and other nanoparticles that target the membrane, the repulsion could play a role in treatment effectiveness, enabling nanomedicine advances. 27. Combining flow chemistry and additive manufacturing to fabricate low-cost, highly sensitive, field-deployable environmental sensors. Researchers at DoD's Air Force Research Laboratory AFRL, with additional university collaborators supported by NIH, have developed a high-throughput method for fabricating low-cost surface-enhanced Raman spectroscopy SURS substrates. They used flow chemistry to prepare a solution of silver nanoparticles and graphene inks, followed by aerosol jet printing to deposit the SURS substrates on Kapton polymer-based films. They have demonstrated the ability of these substrates to measure SURS spectra of standard dyes, fluorescein and rhodamine, down to concentrations of 10 to 7 m. Target analytes for these sensors include chemical warfare agents and environmental contaminants such as PFAS. The group has successfully detected SURS spectra from nano and picomolar concentrations of perfluorooctanoic acid PFOA and perfluorooctane sulfonic acid PFOS. 28. The work was conducted in collaboration with the Army and the Centers for Disease Control CDC. Artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques were used to optimize the fabrication process, synthesizing atomically precise graphene nanoribbons (GNRs) to enable advances in nanoelectronics. A DoD Office of Naval Research (ONR) supported team of scientists, with additional support from DOE, have succeeded for the first time in synthesizing monodisperse, designer, graphene nanostructures using bottom-up chemical synthesis techniques in a programmable and deterministic fashion. Graphene nanoribbons have been under investigation for promising applications in nanoelectronics, spintronics, photonics, sensing, quantum information processing, and energy conversion. But a slight change in structure changes the band gap, so atomic precision is needed to ensure the desired properties of the GNRs. The group has developed a general fabrication method for 26. DOE.org. 27. NIST.gov. DOE.org. 28. DOE.org. 15. Preparing monodisperse samples of specific GNR structures with precisely controlled GNR sequence, length, and shape, enabled by an iterative synthesis strategy. This is a significant advance towards the vision of bottom-up, atomic precision nanofabrication of functioning carbon nanoelectronics. 29. Expanding synthesis capabilities for quantum material discovery. Two-dimensional 2D materials continue to be at the forefront of research innovation, with applications in critical and emerging technology areas like quantum information science (QIS) and microelectronics, by harnessing innovations in nanomaterial fabrication and characterization. The NSF Monarch Quantum Foundry, announced in 2022, is part of an active community of university researchers examining nano-optical characterization of 2D materials. 30. Recently 2 more public universities joined Monarch due to new NSF established program to stimulate competitive research EPSCoR program supplemental support. 31. For quantum materials development, researchers affiliated with the Monarch Quantum Foundry are developing nano-optical characterization and fabrication methods, using robotic elements, for 2D materials systems with high-quality emergent phenomena compatible with current nano-optical techniques. Next steps include expanding to cryogenic and ultra-high vacuum environments, since most current methods are conducted under ambient conditions. Plans for PCA-1. Foundational research. The foundational research under PCA-1 is defined as 1. Discovery and development of fundamental knowledge pertaining to new phenomena in the physical, biological, chemical, and engineering sciences that occur at the nanoscale. 2. Elucidation of scientific and engineering principles related to nanoscale structures, processes, and mechanisms. And 3. Research aimed at discovery and synthesis of novel nanoscale and nanostructured materials and at a comprehensive understanding of the properties of nanomaterials ranging across length scales and including interface interactions. This PCA encompasses basic research aimed at addressing national needs and priorities, as well as undirected research aimed at expanding the frontiers of science and technology. Foundational research continues to be the largest area of NNI investment, accounting for nearly 45% of the proposed NNI total for 2025. NSF and DoD are the largest contributors to this PCA by dollar amount, followed by DOE and NIH. Below are some illustrative examples across agencies of relevant programmatic activities, but is not a comprehensive list. Programs in multiple NSF directorates support nanoscale science and engineering research related to PCA-1. About 10% of NSF investments in PCA-1 include foundational research on climate change understanding and mitigation, contributing to the Nano4 Earth NNC.32. Most of the research is sponsored in individual and small group research across multiple NSF directorates. A subset of engineering research centers, 33 science and technology centers, 34 centers for chemical innovation, 35 AI institutes, 36 and other. 29. DOE.org. 30. DOE.org. DOE.org. 31. MonarchFoundry.org. SDSMT.edu. 32. Nano.gov. 33. NSF.gov. 34. NSF.gov. 35. NSF.gov. 36. NSF.gov. 16. Center's programs support various aspects of nanoscale science and engineering (NSE). About 60% of the Materials Research Science and Engineering Center's 37 pursue NSE-related fundamental research. NSF invests in understanding nanoscale biological machines, e.g., the nucleus of cells, synapses that can simultaneously process and store information through core programs in its directorates for engineering, biological sciences, bio, and mathematical and physical sciences, MPS. NSF will expand its efforts in 2025 in nanobiotechnology associated with synthetic biology and synthetic cells through a new Dear Colleague Letter (DCL) on synthetic cells and cellular systems. 38 a new solicitation, designing synthetic cells beyond the bounds of evolution. 39 and a DCL on sentinel systems that detect, recognize, actuate, and mitigate emergent biological threats. 40. Additional core programs and solicitations contributing to PCA1 in the Eng Directorate include Advanced Manufacturing, 41 Manufacturing Systems Integration, 42 Mechanics of Materials and Structures, 43 Biomechanics and Mechanobiology, 44 Leading Engineering for America's Prosperity, Health, and Infrastructure, 45 Nanoscale Interactions, 46 Particulate and Multiphase Processes, 47 Electronics, Photonics and Magnetic Devices, 48 Communications, Circuits, and Sensing Systems, 49 Industry University Cooperative Research Centers IUCRCs, 50 and Emerging Frontiers and Multidisciplinary Activities EFM 8.51 Contributing core programs in the MPS Directorate include most of the programs within the Division of Chemistry, 52 Topical Materials Research Programs, 53 Partnerships for Research and Education in Materials, 54 Materials Innovation Platforms, 55 and some programs within the Division of Mathematical Sciences and the Division of Physics. Contributing programs in the Directorate for Computer Information Science and Engineering include the Foundations of Emerging Technologies Program, 56 the Software and Hardware Foundations Program, 57 and the Computing Systems Research Program. 58. Programs cutting across multiple NSF directorates that make awards related to PCA1 include Predictive Intelligence for Pandemic Prevention Centers, 59 Future Manufacturing, 60 Growing Convergence. 37. NSF.gov. 38. NSF.gov. 39. NSF.gov. 40. NSF.gov. 41. NSF.gov. 42. NSF.gov. 43. NSF.gov. 44. NSF.gov. 45. NSF.gov. 46. NSF.gov. 47. NSF.gov. 48. NSF.gov. 49. NSF.gov. 50. NSF.gov. 51. NSF.gov. 52. NSF.gov. 53. NSF.gov. 54. NSF.gov. 55. NSF.gov. 56. NSF.gov. 57. NSF.gov. 58. NSF.gov. 59. NSF.gov. 60. NSF.gov. 17. Research, 61 Research Coordination Networks, 62 in Designing Materials to Revolutionize and Engineer Our Future DMREF, with participation also from DoD, DOE, and NIST. 63 National priorities addressed by NSF programs that include support for foundational nanotechnology research include semiconductors and microelectronics, 64 QIS, 65 AI, 66 Biotechnology, 67 Clean Energy, 68 Sustainability Climate Change, 69 and Advanced Manufacturing. 70. DoD supports foundational nanotechnology research both through extramural funding from agencies such as the Air Force Office of Scientific Research AFOSR, 71 the ONR, 72 in the Army Research Office AERO, 73 as well as through intramural research at in-house DoD laboratories, e.g., the Air Force Research Laboratory, the Naval Research Laboratory NRL, and the Army Research Laboratory ARL. 74 In addition, foundational nanotechnology research is funded by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency DARPA, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency DTRA, the Chemical and Biological Defense Program, and the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering OUSD R&E. 75. For example, DTRA 2023-2025 funding supports 8 projects under the Interactions of Ionizing Radiation with Matter University Research Alliance, 76 and Materials Science in Extreme Environments University Research Alliance, 77 which include foundational nanotechnology research. The ONR Nanoelectronics program encourages innovative research and breakthrough scientific discoveries at the nanoscale that will inform the development of future computing technologies. In 2025, there will be an increased focus on basic research in the emerging area of probabilistic computing, which, like quantum computing, has the potential to solve some of the hardest computational tasks in the DoD. The fundamental unit in probabilistic computing is the probabilistic bit, or p-bit. A key priority is to support new projects developing complementary types of p-bits. These projects will augment the concurrent ONR Murray project, OptNet, optimization with p-bit networks, that began in September 2023. NRL's Institute for Nanoscience Research program includes fundamental discovery phase research, with a focus on interdisciplinary nanoscience. NRL funding supports approximately 17 concurrent projects, each spanning approximately 4 years in duration, including topics such as low power, high-speed electronics. 61. NSF.gov. 62. NSF.gov. 63. NSF.gov. 64. NSF.gov. 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 65. NSF.gov. 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 66. NSF.gov. 67. NSF.gov. 68. NSF.gov. 69. NSF.gov. 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 70. NSF.gov. 71. AF.mil. 72. Navy.mil. 73. Army.mil. 74. AF.mil. Navy.mil. Army.mil. 75. DARPA.mil. DTRA.mil. OSD.mil. CTO.mil. 76. PSU.edu. 77. JHU.edu. 18. Photonics, plasmonics, and polaritonics, complex magnetism, nanoscale energy generation, conversion, and storage, 2D materials for sensing and information processing, bio-inorganic hybrids, and neuroelectronics and signaling processes. AFRL's Air Force Crystal Growth Center conducts exploratory synthesis of new materials for evaluation by DoD and academic collaborators, with new capabilities to fully characterize the fundamental magnetic, optical, structural, and thermal properties of these materials, for applications ranging from artificial neural networks to next-generation electronic device architectures and advanced manipulation of light. Other AFRL projects falling under PCA1 include development of soft materials for electronics and sensing and research on synthesis and properties of nanoceramics for aerospace applications. This includes collaborations with Argonne and Oak Ridge National Laboratories as well as multiple universities. DOE's Office of Science supports fundamental nanotechnology R&D through PCA1. Contributing programs in the Office of Basic Energy Sciences that support nanoscience include core research in the Chemical Sciences, Geosciences, and Biosciences Division, including fundamental interactions, photochemistry and biochemistry, and chemical transformations, 78 core research in the Materials Sciences and Engineering Division, including condensed matter and materials physics, materials design discovery and synthesis, and scattering and instrumentation sciences, 79 research conducted at the Nanoscale Science Research Centers within the Scientific User Facilities Division, 80 where infrastructure investments are reported under PCA3 Energy Frontier Research Centers, 81 Energy Innovation Hubs including fuels from sunlight and batteries and energy storage, 82 Computational Materials and Chemical Sciences, 83 and National Quantum Information Science Centers. 84. DOE priorities for 2025 include the Energy Earthshot Initiative, announced in 2021. In 2023, the Office of Science initiated 2 funding opportunities in support of the Energy Earthshot Initiative, Energy Earthshot Research Centers and Science Foundations for Energy Earthshots, which funded 18 university teams and 8 national laboratory centers. Many of these include considerable nanoscience components. The DOE Office of Nuclear Energy also invests in PCA1 through the Nuclear Science User Facilities Program, 85 which funds competitively awarded nuclear fuel and materials research projects that include some topics focused on nanoscale science. The National Institutes of Health PCA1 investments include research supported by the National Cancer Institute NCI, the National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering NIBIB, the National Human Genome Research Institute NHGRI, and the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research NIDCR. NCI provides support for basic, applied, and translational research in cancer nanotechnology. In particular, the funding opportunity, Innovative Research in Cancer Nanotechnology IRCN, PAR 23246 for 2024 and subsequent years, 86 covers mechanistic studies contributing to fundamental understanding of nanoparticle design rules and mechanisms behind their in vivo interactions. 78. OSTI.gov. 79. OSTI.gov. 80. OSTI.gov. 81. OSTI.gov. 82. OSTI.gov. 83. OSTI.gov. 84. OSTI.gov. 85. INL.gov. 86. NIH.gov. 19. NIBIB supports nanotechnology research and development that spans the breadth of biomedicine, including nanomaterials for drug delivery, devices, diagnostics, and novel forms of therapy. Foundational nanotechnology research investments at NIBIB are geared at elucidating underlying mechanisms of nanomaterial interfaces with biological systems and how this guides design principles, which can be applied translationally toward the development of platform technologies of biomedical relevance. Research funded by NHGRI is producing fundamental discoveries toward improving existing technologies for direct single-molecule RNA, DNA, and protein sequencing and developing entirely new ones utilizing nanotechnology. These efforts are contributing to cost decreases accompanied by capability and accuracy increases in nucleic acid sequencing technologies. Research topics include protein-based and solid-state nanopores, zero-mode waveguides, precise methods and measurements of nucleic acids for sequence determination and accuracy improvements, Raman scattering at the nanopore entrance to determine base identity, and using enzymes as conductors to determine individual base incorporations. Many of these novel approaches and technologies are supported by NHGRI's Genome Technology Program. 87 funding opportunities are focused on the early stages of novel technologies that will enable improved DNA sequencing and direct RNA sequencing. 88. The NIDCR Strategic Plan for 2021-2026 prioritizes research to transform material and biomaterial products through innovations in engineering. chemistry, and biophysics, including building interdisciplinary expertise in nanotechnology. Additionally, due to the shortage of robust diagnostic tests to address the coronavirus pandemic, research on nanosensors continues to receive increased attention by the scientific community interested in developing biodevices for screening, monitoring, and diagnosis of oral and overall health. Some of this research builds on previous funding under the 2021-2023 NIDCR initiative on enabling technologies to accelerate development of oral biodevices, 89 which supported research on functional biodevices making use of enabling technologies such as nanomaterials or nanoscale biodevices for use in detection, diagnosis, and treatment of oral and systemic disease. Projects supported include real-time monitoring of saliva for levels of drugs such as anti-epileptic seizure medication for precision medicine and advancing optimal dosing. Other research builds on work funded during the COVID pandemic under the Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics Radical RADXRAT Initiative 90. On exploring the use of nanotechnology to identify biomarkers emanating from skin or the oral cavity in patients with symptomatic and asymptomatic COVID-19. NIST's foundational nanotechnology research portfolio includes the development of cutting-edge approaches to design and accurately measure the size, shape, quantity, and physicochemical complexity of nanoparticles, nanostructured films, and nanocomposites in a variety of environments. It also includes development of optical metasurface technologies with potential applications in ultrafast and nonlinear optics, as well as advanced imaging and photonic sensing and photonic interfaces to atomic scale quantum systems. NIST is developing best practices and disseminating new measurement methods and data analysis techniques to determine the thermodynamics of DNA nanostructure assembly that will inform predictive models of nucleic acid systems and drug development. NIST PCA-1 investments also include foundational research related to semiconductors and microelectronics, consistent with the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, see PCA-2 section below for additional details. 87. Genome.gov. 88. NIH.gov. 89. NIH.gov. 90. NIH.gov. NIH.gov. 20. FDA's Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, CFSAN, has been conducting research on nanotechnology relevant to human food safety, e.g., understanding the potential migration of engineered nanomaterials from nanotechnology-enabled food contact materials to food to estimate possible consumer exposure. This improves CFSAN's ability to review future submissions to its programs and advise manufacturers interested in this emerging technology. CFSAN is also actively conducting research on possible incidental presence of nanoparticles in certain food additives to ensure current data and information are available to support safety assessments. Furthermore, CFSAN is involved in R&D on nanotechnology-enabled sensors for contaminants, biological toxins, and pathogens in food products, which helps improve FDA's ability to respond rapidly to foodborne disease outbreaks and other emerging threats to human and animal health. The FDA Office of Regulatory Affairs or Office of Regulatory Science ORS continues to work with FDA product centers to conduct collaborative research to develop analytical methods for the characterization of nanomaterials in FDA-regulated products. Such methods will enable FDA to identify potential risks associated with such products through pre- and post-market oversight and determine problems that can affect product safety and provide guidance to sponsors reviewers for the future approval of products. ORS collaborates with EFTA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research (CDER) in developing and validating analytical methods for characterization of complex liposomal drug formulations. ORA recruits and trains research fellows in the development and validation of advanced analytical methods based on standardized testing for the FDA, the United States Pharmacopoeia (USP), and the International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements to characterize nanomaterial constituents in FDA-regulated products. FDA's National Center for Toxicological Research (NCTR) conducts collaborative regulatory science research on characterization, safety, and efficacy assessment of nanomaterials, and documentary standards development with stakeholders within FDA, other government agencies, and academia. NCTR's NanoCore has developed a baseline reference dataset of the most common polymers present in the environment that would serve towards the development of a collaborative, global, comprehensive, and curated public database for the identification and quantitation of various nanoplastics and their mixtures. 91 Ongoing research projects include the investigation into antimicrobial effectiveness of novel nanomaterials and nanostructures, including determination of their cytotoxicity and genotoxicity. An in vitro epigenetic evaluation of TO2 nanoparticles to study DNA methylation patterns, global histone modifications, and microRNA expression. 92 In order to fill knowledge gaps associated with complex drug nanocrystals, an ongoing study is investigating their effects on gastrointestinal tract microbiome and function to compare and contrast with the parent active pharmaceutical ingredient. 93. USDA NIFA funds foundational nanotechnology research through its Agriculture and Food Research Initiative AFRI Foundational and Applied Science Program, 94 which includes a program on nanotechnology for agricultural and food systems. 95 Priorities under PCA-1 include discovery and characterization of nanoscale phenomena, processes, and structures relevant and important to agriculture and food. A wide range of research topics are supported, e.g., investigation of plant virus nanoparticle technology for use as plant vaccines, synthesis of few-layer graphene-encapsulated iron nanoparticles from agricultural wastes, exploration of cellulose nanocrystals for detection of allergens. 91. NIH.gov. 92. NIH.gov. 93. NIH.gov. 94. USDA.gov. 95. USDA.gov. 21. and emerging contaminants, and use of multi-scale modeling and machine learning for design and characterization of chitosan-based nanocomposites. Progress on Goal 2. Promote commercialization of nanotechnology R&D. Federal investments in nanotechnology R&D have led to thousands of products in the marketplace, and today's scientific discoveries serve as the foundation for the next generation of applications. The NNI fosters commercialization by sharing information, promoting access to user facilities, leveraging resources through public-private partnerships, and participating in international standards activities that are critical to commercialization. In addition to these mechanisms, NNCO has a staff member dedicated to liaise with industry who conducts outreach, shares best practices, and supports collaborations as appropriate. A few examples of progress on Goal 2 are shown below. Creating new generations of nanotechnology-enabled biosensors for detecting disease. Results from the 2021-2023 NIDCR Biosensor Initiative on enabling technologies to accelerate development of oral biodevices are beginning to emerge. This funding opportunity has been supporting projects that incorporate transformative engineering solutions to technical challenges associated with new development, substantial optimization of existing technologies, and clinical translation of intraoral biodevices. These functional biodevices make use of enabling technologies such as nanomaterials or nanodevices for detection, diagnosis, and treatment of oral and systemic disease. Projects supported include real-time monitoring of saliva for levels of drugs such as anti-epileptic seizure medication for precision medicine and advancing optimal dosing. NIH-supported researchers have developed a frequency-locked loop-based multimodal readout integrated circuit for interfacing with off-chip temperature, electrochemical, and pH sensors 96 in a body heat-powered, multi-sensor system on a chip supporting readout from multiple chemical and biological sensors. 97. This research complements earlier work done during the COVID-19 pandemic on use of nanotechnology for rapid and affordable detection of infectious diseases, where NIDCR led an emergency initiative to support advanced development of novel, non-traditional, nanotechnology-based approaches for detection of the SARS-CoV-2 virus and biomarkers of the COVID-19 disease for use in outbreaks of COVID-19 and to address future health emergencies. SBIR and STTR projects funded through the RAD-X-RAD Initiative 98 have used nanotechnology and nanomaterial approaches to identify biomarkers emanating from skin or the oral cavity in patients with symptomatic and asymptomatic COVID-19. This initiative is 1. Advancing novel biosensing technologies that are innovative, safe, and effective, and 2. Incorporating such technologies into devices with integrated AI systems for the detection, diagnosis, prediction, prognosis, and monitoring of COVID-19 in clinical, community, and everyday settings. A variety of nanotechnology-based designs target detection of volatile organic compounds (VOX), i.e., sensor odors emanating from skin and exhaled breath in a passive and non-invasive manner. In addition, other oral biosensing technologies are targeting a wealth of biological, chemical, and physical biosignatures representative of SARS-CoV-2 virus and/or COVID-19 disease sampled from exhaled breath droplets, saliva, and tissues in the oral cavity using unique designs for sampling, detection, and analytical interpretation. Projects supported under this initiative include use of single-walled CNT corona phase for viral sensing applications, 99 development of a 5-minute magnetic nanoparticle spectroscopy-based. 96. NIH.gov. 97. NIH.gov. 98. NIH.gov. NIH.gov. 99. DOI.org. 22. Bioassay for ultrafast detection of SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, 100 and a nanoparticle clustering-based magnetic particle spectroscopy bioassay method for detection of SARS-CoV-2 spike in nucleocapsid proteins in the liquid phase. 101. Supporting commercialization of nanotechnology-enabled medical products through development and validation of standards. Previous NNI budget supplements have reported on efforts by FDA and other NNI participating agencies to promote the development of continuous manufacturing processes for reducing the cost and improving the quality of nanotechnology-enabled medical products. 102. Another key factor in promoting commercialization of such products is the development and validation of standards that streamline and clarify regulatory approvals. In previous years, FDA scientists worked with ASTM International and the International Organization for Standardization (ISO) to develop several such standards, including 3 standard test methods for lipid quantitation in liposomal formulations. In 2023, FDA NCTR scientists completed 3 interlaboratory studies to determine the precision and bias of those published standard test methods, collaborating with academic researchers and industry to prepare liposomal samples for analysis. In all, 66 laboratories in 13 countries participated in these studies. 103. Revolutionizing metallurgy and aerospace propulsion with nanotechnology-enabled additive manufacturing. NASA has developed a 3-dimensional, 3D printable alloy strengthened by nanoparticulate dispersants, GRX-810, that has attracted the interest of the metallurgy and rocket propulsion communities because of its lightweight and high mechanical durability at extreme high temperatures. The invention led to an R&D 100 award in 2023 for GRX-810 3D printable alloy designed for extreme environments. 104. A key element of the alloy formulation is nanoscale particles of yttria, yielding an oxide dispersion strengthened alloy. GRX-810 has been licensed to 4 American companies, which will be using the material to make sturdier, more resilient aircraft and spacecraft components. 105. The alloy is fabricated using additive manufacturing and incorporates nanoscale yttria particles throughout its microstructure, which provides a doubling of tensile strength and oxidation resistance and 1,000-fold better creep properties compared to traditional nickel-based superalloys. The material has already been successfully hot fire tested in injectors and nozzles for a liquid oxygen, liquid methane rocket engine. It can also be used in preburners, turbines, and other hot section components, which must withstand temperatures up to 1,100 degrees Celsius. 106. 100. NIH.gov. 101. NIH.gov. 102 e.g. lipid nanoparticles used in mRNA vaccines. See the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget. https://www.nano.gov/site/default/file/pub_resource/ne-fi20-budget-supplement.pdf p. 103. ASTM.org. 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 104. NASA.gov. 105. MetalTechNews.com. 106. Metal-m.com. 23. Mitigating climate change at interfaces, achieving superlubricity and heat management with nanotechnology. Addressing inefficiencies at interfaces would help reduce energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions of many industries. Through friction alone, the United States loses more than $1 trillion annually, equivalent to around 5% of the U.S. gross domestic product. The Nano4EARTH community has identified the reduction of energy losses at interfaces. Through nanotechnology-enabled advancements in coatings, lubricants, membranes, and other interface technologies is one promising area for mitigating climate change. To reduce friction at interfaces, a team of scientists at Oak Ridge National Laboratory developed a novel coating made of carbon nanotubes, providing superlubricity at ambient conditions. While typical oil lubricants provide coefficients of friction of around 0.1, this coating has demonstrated superlubricity, defined as coefficients of friction of less than 0.01, which translates to virtually no resistance when parts slide on each other. This coating has achieved coefficients of friction as low as 0.001. This new coating covers the treated surface with vertical carbon nanotubes and an oil. When another surface passes over it, the carbon nanotubes fracture and are then deposited on both contact surfaces, forming a graphene film that is responsible for the nearly zero coefficient of friction. This stable graphene film can withstand more than 500,000 rubbing cycles without the need of specialty environments, making superlubricity feasible in common applications. Lubrication is not the only way to address inefficiencies at interfaces. Carbon nanotubes are versatile and can also be harnessed as a thermal interface material. Thermal management of heat is another way to increase energy efficiency of a system. Aligned carbon nanotubes can achieve this by managing thermal conductivity and resistance. A company that has received support from DARPA, NASA, NSF, and the SBIR program has developed a thermal management system based on aligned carbon nanotubes that combines the benefits of solid and liquid thermal interface materials. The company's products are commercially available and have been used in NASA satellites, data centers, and electric vehicles. 107. Using nanoparticles to enable smaller, less expensive, and portable magnetic resonance imaging (MRI) systems. NIST researchers and collaborators from industry and an international university have discovered that nanoparticles can boost image quality in low-field MRI scans. The researchers found that iron oxide nanoparticles outperformed gadolinium contrast agents used in conventional MRI machines. At low magnetic field strength, the nanoparticles provided good contrast using a concentration of only about 1/9 that of the gadolinium particles. This could enable new, portable MRI machines that use lower strength magnetic fields, which could expand the ways in which MRI is used, e.g., in ambulances and other mobile settings. They could cost much less, promising to make MRI more widely available, including in underserved communities in developing nations. Other. 107. ORNL.gov. DOI.org. Carbis.com. ORNL's vertically aligned carbon nanotubes reduce friction to nearly zero to improve energy efficiency. Credit. Chinaka Kumara ORNL, U.S. Department of Energy. 24. Advantages of this innovation include that iron oxide nanoparticles are broken down by the human body, versus gadolinium, which may accumulate in tissues, and this could reduce dependence on gadolinium, a rare earth element, for medical imaging. 108. Enhancing efficient semiconductor capabilities for microelectronics. Building on research funded by NSF, a startup company was founded by a former graduate student based on NSF-supported research at a public land-grant research university that resulted in breakthrough development of hierarchical manufacturing approaches for the scalable assembly of densely aligned, semiconducting nanotubes. These assembly advances have enabled CNT-based field effect transistors that outperform silicon analogs with higher electrical current density, increasing speed, and decreasing power usage for digital and wireless devices. The startup was awarded an NSF STTR Phase 1 award in 2023 to support commercialization of these novel technologies. Silicon replaced with smaller and more densely packed CNTs outperforms silicon-based analogs, enabling more high-performance and data-intensive applications at a lower power usage. An important step in manufacturing is failure testing, and a company supported by DOE's SBIR program developed a process for high-throughput, high-quality production of tungsten tips for nanoprobes that can be used for both scanning tunneling microscopy and semiconductor nanoprobing and failure analysis. Other nanoprobe research funded by DOE at a public research university focused on power control electronics. The research ended in 2021 but continues to yield new patents 109 and publications. 110. These examples highlight how close partnership and support from federal agencies allow researchers to create and scale small businesses that find solutions for state-of-the-art microelectronics challenges. Looking to future advances toward monolithic electronics, researchers at the DoD-supported Institute for Soldier Nanotechnologies (ISN), working with researchers from Oak Ridge National Laboratory and industry, have developed a new low-temperature process that allows for the rapid growth of atomically thin semiconductor transistors to be grown directly on top of silicon chips, facilitating the radical increase in density of computing power needed for advanced applications. 111. Increasing infrastructure durability by improving concrete properties. Concrete remains critical to our nation's infrastructure needs. Improving durability and performance of materials reduces the overall use of virgin materials and energy required to build and maintain the U.S. highway system. Supplementary cementitious materials can reduce the amount of cement used in concrete, reducing greenhouse gas emissions without compromising performance or safety. DOTS FHWA, in coordination with DOC, NIST and DoD, Army's Engineering Research and Development Center (ERDC), continues identifying and assessing the performance of supplementary cementitious materials for highway structures and pavements. 112 and also developing and testing chemistry models to study the compatibility of waste plastics and asphalt binders. This complements ongoing work by the USDA's Forest Service, which continues studying cellulose nanocrystal enhanced cement. Results from a Forest Service field demonstration have been published. 113 While experiments continue to follow the aging and weathering to ensure long-term performance. The concept is being extended in 2024 to a spillway dam project. 108. NIST.gov, DOI.org, 109 U.S. Patent number, 11,852,654 B2, patent date, December 26, 2023. 110. DOI.org, 111, DOI.org, 112, DOI.org, 113, Concrete.org. 25. Plans for PCA2, nanotechnology-enabled applications, devices, and systems. PCA2 covers research and development that applies the principles of NSE to create novel devices and systems, or to improve existing ones. It includes the incorporation of nanoscale or nanostructured materials in the processes required to achieve improved performance or new functionality. This PCA includes metrology, scale-up, manufacturing technology, and nanoscale reference materials and standards. To meet this definition, the enabling science and technology must be at the nanoscale, but the applications, systems, and devices themselves are not restricted to that size. NNI PCA2 investments have grown in recent years, from under 24% of the total in 2016 to over 40% in the 2025 request. PCA2 is the largest category in the NIH-NNI investment portfolio, accounting for nearly 70% of its 2025 request, up from just under 68% in the 2024 request. 114 Other agencies contributing to PCA2 in the 2025 budget, in descending order of dollar amount of investments, include NSF, DoD, DOE, NIST, NEPA, FDA, NASA, ARS, FS, BARDA, DOJ, and FHWA. Several of the NIH-NCI-funded efforts have applied focus and are dedicated to developing new and improved diagnostics and therapeutics. The former primarily prioritizes high sensitivity and the capacity for multiplex detection. The latter, in addition to nanotechnology-based chemotherapeutics, are increasingly exploring gene therapies and immunotherapies. The toward translation of nanotechnology cancer interventions 115 funding opportunity facilitates late preclinical evaluations, enhancing the integration of nanotechnology cancer interventions into mainstream translational and clinical programs. NIH's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases (NIAID) is supporting the development of nanotechnology-enabled approaches to diagnose, treat, and prevent infectious diseases. For example, scientists are developing an mRNA lipid nanoparticle vaccine against mpox and vaccinia viruses, and a single-component nanoparticle vaccine to block malaria transmission. To provide stronger and longer-lasting protection against SARS-CoV-2, NIAID-funded scientists are developing an extended-release vaccine strategy that encapsulates protein nanoparticle vaccines with a biodegradable polymer. This modular design could have broader applicability towards the development of vaccines for other infectious pathogens. NIAID-funded scientists are also using nanotechnology to improve diagnostic testing. For example, a point-of-care test for drug-resistant tuberculosis (TB) based on nanoreactor bead chemistry and a protein-based nanopore biosensor assay to diagnose active TB using serum biomarkers are in development. Through its Advancing Vaccine Adjuvant Research for Tuberculosis (AVRT) program, 116 NIAID is funding the development of preventive, including post-exposure, TB vaccines through side-by-side comparisons of adjuvants. This development will allow scientists to investigate distinct immune profiles associated with nanomaterial-based adjuvants. NIAID continues its efforts to develop universal flu vaccines that display portions of influenza viruses on the exterior of a nanoparticle. These vaccines could provide immunity against a broad range of influenza viruses and would not need to be reformulated and administered on a yearly basis. Several clinical trials for a ferritin nanoparticle-based influenza vaccine candidate have demonstrated that this vaccine platform is safe and stimulates immune responses against multiple influenza subtypes. Scientists are also assessing an investigational mosaic nanoparticle vaccine designed to provide consistent protection for multiple seasons in clinical trials. Additionally, scientists are developing a tandem helix nanoparticle, a novel design that could open opportunities for the development of nanoparticles with broad coverage over many diverse influenza subtypes. 114C, nano.gov, p. 12, 115, nih.gov, 116, nih.gov, 26. NIH NIBUB serves as the engineering hub of NIH, supporting diverse research on engineered nanotechnology for cross-cutting biomedical applications. Examples include nanoscale voltage generators for biomicromolecule delivery, theranostic nanoparticles for image-guided drug delivery, nucleic acid nanoparticles designed to mimic monoclonal antibodies, and nanostructured degradable bone cement. NIH NIBUB is establishing a Biomaterials Network Technology Development Coordinating Center, which is now funded and in the early build-out stages, with the aim to accelerate innovation, development, and early dissemination of biomaterials-based technologies, including nanoscale technologies, and overcome challenges to clinical translation. NIH NIDCR support for the Dental, Oral and Craniofacial Tissue Regeneration Consortium DOCTRC 117 will extend until 2025. DOCTRC is facilitating the advancement of promising technologies, including nanotechnology-based approaches, for regeneration and reconstruction of docked tissues, shepherding new therapies through preclinical studies and into human clinical trials, commercialization, and broad clinical adoption. Translational projects supported include stem cell-based therapies for bone regeneration, immunomodulatory strategies to treat periodontal disease, and remineralization treatments using nanoparticles. These projects have begun to demonstrate tangible FDA regulatory successes in 2024, including a successful investigational new drug filing, and several teams poised for 510(k) submission by late 2024. Product development for several of these projects is also supported through synergistic STTR/SBIR funding. A new concept, accelerating product excellence in innovation and for clinical adoption, 118 will expand on the success of DOCTRC, with the goal of continuing to power the engine to accelerate preclinical product development through innovation, commercialization, and clinical adoption. In 2025, NIH NHGRI will fund a new Technology Development Coordinating Center, 119, which is responsible for enhancing integration between components of the NHGRI Genome Technology Program by facilitating opportunities for collaborations. The center also disseminates program advances, develops resources and outreach strategies for engaging the broader biomedical research community, and manages an opportunity funds program to rapidly fund and support promising small-scale work that advances development of innovative genomic technologies. NSF supports nanotechnology commercialization through the development of spin-off companies from projects funded by core programs such as Advanced Manufacturing, Future Manufacturing, and Engineering Research Centers. These companies can take advantage of resources provided by NSF-funded infrastructure programs such as the National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure. Industry partnerships are fostered through programs such as IUCRC and grant opportunities for academic liaison with industry, 120, and through NSF collaboration with Manufacturing USA Institutes. 121. The Technology, Innovation and Partnerships TIP Directorate has the mission to support use-inspired research and translation of research results to the market and society. Authorized by the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, TIP focus areas include laying the foundation for the American industrial innovation base through investment in regional innovation ecosystems, accelerating technology development and 117, doctarc.org, 118, nih.gov, 119, nih.gov, 120, nsf.gov, 121, nsf.gov, 27. Translation, and growing a workforce at all levels leveraging all Americans. TIP activities that involve support for nanotechnology applications, devices, and systems research include the NSF SBIR and STTR programs 122 and the Partnerships for Innovation, 123 Accelerating Research Translation, 124 NSF Convergence Accelerator, 125 NSF Regional Innovation Engines, 126 and NSF Innovation Core NSF Core TM programs. 127 Commercialization of nanotechnology is also aided by NSF workforce development programs such as non-academic research internships for graduate students, 128 and through the training of undergraduate and graduate students supported by NSF-funded research projects, providing a pipeline of talented people who are available for U.S. companies to hire. See PCA 4 section below. DoD supports nanotechnology applications, devices, and systems research PCA 2 through extramural and intramural funding from the Air Force AFOSR, AFRL, Navy, ONR, NRL, Army, ARO, ARL, DARPA, DTRA, the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, and the ChemBio program. For example, DARPA supports the development of nanotechnology-enabled functional materials and devices under the Sine Qua Non program, 129, which is developing novel classes of superconducting metamaterials for new capabilities in QIS, and is shifting from exploration to development in 2025. DARPA has also been supporting nanomaterials development under the Coded Visibility Program, 130, which is nearing completion in 2024. AFRL is conducting research on 2D nanomaterials, e.g., transition metal decalcogenides, MXenes, 2D covalent organic frameworks, and advanced processing technologies, e.g., liquid phase exfoliation, vapor phase growth, 3D printing, laser manufacturing, composites to develop applications in devices such as multifunctional structural coatings, optical coatings, and electronics and sensors. The ONR Power Electronics Program 131 is supporting the development of nanotechnology-enabled wide bandgap semiconductor materials, e.g., SiC for power electronics power distribution system applications, including high power and pulsed power required in the modern Navy systems. It is also supporting research on additive manufacturing of ferrites for ultra-high frequency megawatt-class magnetic devices, tunable paramagnetic and super paramagnetic materials development for hybrid core inductors for shipboard power in cooperation with Sandia National Laboratory, and boundary engineered nanocomposites as high-frequency inductors for shipboard and airborne Navy power systems. DTRA is supporting research under PCA2 on radiation hardening of nanoscale microelectronics and characterization of nanoscale defects and interfaces in microelectronics. DOE support for R&D on nanotechnology-enabled applications, devices, and systems includes the Microelectronics Energy Efficiency Scaling for 2 Decades EES2 initiative, supported by the Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies Office AMMTO, within the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy EERE. DOE is partnering with multiple organizations nationwide to develop an EES2 R&D roadmap, which will include approximately 55 high-impact technologies, many of which incorporate 122. NSF.gov 123. NSF.gov 124. NSF.gov 125. NSF.gov 126. NSF.gov 127. NSF.gov 128. NSF.gov 129. DARPA.mil 130. DARPA.mil 131. Navy.mil 28. Nanotechnology, e.g., CNT devices, and which will inform funding opportunity announcements FOAs at AMMTO, other DOE offices, and other U.S. government agencies. 132 EES2 lab call projects funded in 2,023,133 are expected to continue through 2025-2026. In August 2024, DOE issued an RFI soliciting feedback from stakeholders on the EES2 initiative and the draft roadmap. 134 other DOE activities related to PCA2 include the January 2024 AMMTO Battery Manufacturing Platform Technologies FOA, which includes a subtopic on scalable manufacturing of nanolayered films for energy storage. 135 The DOE Office of Nuclear Energy invests in PCA2 through the Advanced Sensor and Instrumentations Program. 136 which funds research activities on the development and demonstration of sensors for advanced reactors and irradiation testing. Activities considered here are based on additive manufacturing processes that include of nanoscale precursor materials. NIST PCA2 investments include research on quantum materials design and characterization. NIST is conducting research on nanoscale devices and systems for applications such as microelectronics, coatings, and pharmaceutical products. A major new thrust at NIST is microelectronics, semiconductor, and electronic packaging R&D funded under the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, including the National Semiconductor Technology Center, 137 the National Advanced Packaging Manufacturing Program, 138 the CHIPS Metrology Program, 139 and the CHIPS Manufacturing USA Institute. 140 This is in addition to long-standing and continuing research in the Microsystems and Nanotechnology Division, 141 the NanoFab at the Center for Nanoscale Science and Technology, 142 in Gaithersburg, MD, which also serves as a user facility, CPCA 3 section below, and at the NIST Boulder Microfabrication Facility. 143. Other NIST research areas falling under PCA2 include nanopore biosensors, work with FDA on nanoparticle tracking methods and microfluidic measurement devices to characterize complex liposomal products, development of standards and calibrations for super-resolution optical microscopy, single and multi-organ microphysiological systems that mimic the human body to evaluate efficacy and toxicity of new drugs, and self-assembled DNA nanostructures for adaptable biomarker sensing. NIFA AFRI priorities under PCA2 include R&D on novel uses and high-value-added products of nanobiomaterials from agricultural and forest origins for food and non-food applications, nanotechnology-enabled smart sensors for accurate, reliable, and cost-effective early and rapid detection of targets of interest in agricultural production and food safety, cost-effective distributed sensing networks for intelligent and precise application of agricultural inputs, and monitoring physiological biomarkers for optimal crop or animal productivity and health. Examples of supported projects include fate, transport, and efficacy of nanofertilizers, nanopore-based sensing for rapid detection of microbial foodborne pathogens, and nanotechnology-enabled adjuvants for poultry vaccines. 132. Energy.gov. 133. Energy.gov. 134. Energy.gov. 135. Energy.gov. 136. INL.gov. 137. NIST.gov. 138. NIST.gov. 139. NIST.gov. 140. NIST.gov. 141. NIST.gov. 142. NIST.gov. 143. NIST.gov. 29. A key element of FDA research falling under PCA2 is contributing to the development of voluntary consensus standards, which provide clear regulatory expectations, streamline pre-market review, and facilitate markets for safe and effective products, as well as promoting international harmonization. This includes research to inform the development of these standards, as well as the conduct of international interlaboratory studies to evaluate test method standards for precision and bias. FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research CBER, Office of Vaccines Research and Review conducts research to evaluate the safety and effectiveness of preventative vaccines against infectious diseases, e.g., the LNP-encapsulated COVID-19 mRNA vaccine. Current and ongoing activities include evaluating the effectiveness of this class of vaccine against a wide variety of other infectious disease agents, including influenza virus, respiratory syncytial virus RSV, Nipah virus, human immunodeficiency virus HIV, Zika virus, TB, human cytomegalovirus, and malaria, and also some cancer vaccines. At NASA, nanotechnology is used to accomplish mission needs and objectives through experimental and theoretical research. NASA's research portfolio for nanotechnology-enabled applications, devices, and systems covers a range of application areas, from lightweight materials and structures for aircraft and space exploration, to energy storage, power, and propulsion, nanosensors, spacecraft water sustainability, multifunctional textiles, and advanced instrumentation to enable deep space exploration. For example, NASA is supporting nanotechnology-enabled SBIR and STTR projects on miniaturized contaminant detection systems for potable water and wastewater, advanced textiles for intravehicular and extravehicular crew garments, including nanolayer-coated flame-retardant fabrics for space crew clothing, and lunar and Martian regolith-controlled. See above in the SBIR STTR section of Chapter 2 for additional SBIR STTR examples. Plans for 2025 include continued support for the Super Lightweight Aerospace Composites project under the Game-Changing Development Program in the Space Technology Mission Directorate, which is advancing manufacturability of structural aerospace nanocomposites to realize weight savings through nanocomposite propellant tanks for nuclear thermal propulsion systems. Future activities will feature prototype carbon nanotube reinforced composite article fabrication and testing. Concluding in 2024 is the Game-Changing Development Project, Refractory Alloy Additive Manufacture Build Optimization, which included the addition of nanodispersants to feedstocks to improve mechanical performance of additive manufactured parts. NASA is working with NIH on nanosensor-enabled diagnostic platforms to allow rapid characterization of pathogens associated with pelvic and gynecologic infections. Bacterial identification is enabled through nanoparticle structures functionalized to be sensitive to genetic sequences of interest. The USDA ARS Western Regional Research Center is conducting research on 1. Biomass from hemp pulp nanofibers in water-soluble films for packaging. 2. Thermoplastic starch blends of cellulose nanocrystals, nanofibrils, extruded mix and film blowing for packaging. And 3. Straw residue, bagasse, and grasses as feedstocks for production of commercially viable nanoparticles for nanocomposites. Nanotechnology projects at the Ars National Center for Agricultural Utilization Research cover 1. Application of phospholipid polysaccharide nanoparticles to enhance deliver bioactives into food and cosmetics. 2. Use of agricultural wastes to produce commercial nanoscale cellulases and hemicelluloses. 3. Development of protein nanocapsules for food ingredients to reduce chronic disease form vitamin E deficiencies. And 4. Production of nanocellulose films and gels from sorghum stover for paints and 3D printing feedstocks. The Southern Regional Research Center is conducting research on a variety of nanomaterials incorporated into cotton fibers. 1. Silver nanoparticles for antimicrobial activity, thermal insulation, flame retardancy, and hydrophobicity. 2. Iron oxide nanoparticles for magnetic applications. And 3. Copper ion nanoparticles for purification of air and water. All 3 centers have multiple cooperative research and development agreements (CRADAs) with industry. In addition, ours is supporting research at a public land-grant research university on manufacturing and applications of 30. Nanocellulose fiber molded products. With additional support from NIFA and the Forest Service, the university has developed a pilot-scale 2,000 lb per day nanocellulose production facility and a large 3D printer. The USDA Forest Service supports nanotechnology research under PCA2 to contribute to conservation and productivity of U.S. forest resources, sustaining forests, the economy, and quality of life. Plans and priorities for 2025 include 1. Development of a biorefinery to make cellulose nanomaterials from biomass, exploring the organosolve process to make cellulose nanocrystals (CNCs) directly from western U.S. forest thinnings, a collaborative project between the USDA Forest Products Laboratory, FPL and a university. 2. Collaborative research with a number of universities and FPL on renewable packaging, e.g., molded paper with a cellulose nanomaterial coating to replace PFAs, cellulose nanomaterial fruit coatings to preserve freshness. 3. CNC filters to remove PFAs from water. 4. Nanocellulose coated paper substrates for printed sensors and electronics. 5. Development of a rapid and robust instrument for CNC size distribution measurement. And 6. CNC enhanced cement. In the latter project, FPL in the U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities 144 will conduct a needs assessment for CNC commercialization in the cement industry and will sponsor a CNC enhanced cement application for spillways in restoration of a natural area. Some of these projects include funding from NIFA. BARDA continues to provide funding under PCA2 for infectious disease diagnostics and vaccine research, complementary to efforts at NIH, NIAID and FDA reported elsewhere in this document. PCA2 investments from DOJ NIJ's Forensic Science Research and Development Program 145 fund projects that apply nanotechnology toward the sensitive and selective detection and identification of trace chemical and biological materials collected as forensic evidence. Under PCA2, FHWA will continue its work to understand and control the performance of supplementary cementitious materials at the nanoscale, including identifying and assessing performance of alternative materials for highway structures and pavements and providing evidence for mixed designs, testing methods, and standards for these materials. FHWA is also supporting research through its SVIR program on vehicle communications via nanotechnology-enabled inductive paint, investigating mechanisms for communication between infrastructure and vehicles using road markings. USPTO provides intellectual property policy advice and guidance to the executive branch, grants patents on nanotechnology applications that meet the statutory requirements, works with federal partners to identify key emerging technologies that the United States should focus on to enhance innovation, and supports an inclusive and accessible intellectual property system for all Americans, including independent inventors and entrepreneurs. USPTO has been providing information and analysis on nanotechnology patenting trends to NSET and NNCO, as a way to pinpoint emerging applications and as a metric for commercialization activity. Work is ongoing to identify nanotechnology-related patent classification symbols 146 and track patenting trends in those topic areas. While the Nuclear Regulatory Commission does not have a specific budget allocation for nanotechnology, NRC's participation in the NNI is important to maintain awareness of the relevant new technologies and ensure their readiness for use or application within the NRC licensee community. 144. Useendowment.org. 145. OJP.gov. 146. USPTO.gov. 31. Progress on Goal 3. Provide the infrastructure to sustainably support nanotechnology research, development, and deployment. The physical equipment, digital models, simulations, and data that make up the research infrastructure are essential for all of the NNI goals. The need for often expensive, specialized tools, as well as the expertise to utilize it, remains a key requirement for much of nanotechnology R&D. One distinguishing feature of the NNI is the shared infrastructure that provide researchers and developers with access to the tools required to create, characterize, and understand nanomaterials and nanotechnology-enabled components, devices, and systems. NNI participating agencies support advances in tool development, establishment and sustainment of facilities, and creation and dissemination of cyber resources. A few selected examples of Goal 3 progress are shown below. DOE NSRC's furthering sustainability and energy security. A hallmark of DOE's Nanoscale Science Research Center user facilities is the combination of cutting-edge instrumentation and highly trained staff scientists that can advance priority research areas. An example is recent progress towards cost-effective catalysts for hydrogen production using earth-abundant materials. Domestic demand for clean hydrogen has the potential to increase more than tenfold by 2,030,147 for use in the industrial, chemical, and heavy-duty transportation sectors. Critical to this scale-up are catalysts for producing hydrogen via electrolysis and materials to replace expensive iridium-based catalysts. Researchers across 3 national laboratories use the NSRC Center for Nanoscale Materials and Advanced Photon Source at Argonne National Laboratory to study a new catalyst material, a nanofibrous cobalt spinel doped with lanthanum and manganese, that demonstrated excellent electrical properties and low degradation. 148. Another example is the cross-fertilization between Oak Ridge National Laboratory's NSRC Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences and USDA NIFA. NIFA planned its annual project directors meeting on nanotechnology for agriculture and food systems adjacent to the CNMS user meeting, as done previously with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory's NSRC Molecular Foundry and Los Alamos National Laboratory that successfully led to new research collaborations. This allowed NIFA-funded scientists to attend to discuss and plan future experiments with user facility scientists, invite researchers from CNMS and NIFA to present at each other's respective meetings, and led to further invitations for collaboration and deepening of professional contacts. Cementing links between NNCI and DoD microelectronics common hubs. NSF-supported NNCI comprises 16 unique sites across 16 states with 13 partners providing 71 facilities and over 2,000 tools to researchers from all areas of science and engineering. About 40% of those researchers each year are new users. Year 8 saw 594 small businesses with over 1,400 users at NNCI facilities. In September 2023, NNCI held the Nanotechnology Infrastructure of the Future workshop and released an accompanying report. 149. Also in September 2023, under the CHIPS and Science Act, DoD announced 150 its 8 regional innovation hubs as part of the Microelectronics Commons. Each hub has an NSF-funded NNCI partner site as a member. Initial Commons funding was awarded to establish infrastructure and workforce development programs across critical areas like 5G, 6G wireless technology, AI and hardware, commercial leap-ahead technologies, electromagnetic warfare, secure edge Internet of Things IoT computing, and quantum technology. NNCI infrastructure, both facilities and open-source software. 147. Energy.gov. 148. DOE.org. 149. NNCI.net. 150. Defense.gov. 32. Has supported DoD critical technology areas like microelectronics. 151 and will continue to do so through these innovative partnerships to ensure an acceleration from R&D to scaling up production and manufacturing of products and applications arising from domestic R&D. Using nanostructures to enable novel scientific instrumentation. Specialized physical tools are essential for continuing to push the frontiers of nanotechnology R&D. Building on earlier work on the use of superconducting nanowires as single photon detectors, 152 researchers from NIST and NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, with support from DARPA, have built a superconducting camera containing 400,000 pixels, 400 times more than any other device of its type. Superconducting cameras allow scientists to capture very weak light signals, whether from distant objects in space or parts of the human brain. The camera is made up of grids of superconducting nanowires, cooled to near absolute zero, in which current moves with no resistance until a wire is struck by a photon. An image is created from the combination of photon locations and intensities. The team plans to improve the sensitivity of the prototype camera so that it can capture virtually every incoming photon. This new tool would support applications such as imaging faint galaxies or planets that lie beyond the solar system, measuring light in photon-based quantum computers, and using near-infrared light to peer into human tissue. 153. Another NIST team has developed an instrument called Thermal-Magnetic Imaging and Controlled Thermal Magic, which uses nanospheres to enable precise 3D mapping of temperatures within an object. The instrument measures the magnetic responses of nanometer-sized spheres embedded in the object whose temperature is being measured. Thermal magic consists of two systems working together. The first part consists of the sensors themselves, nanometer-sized spheres whose magnetic signals change with temperature. The second part is the instrument that excites the tiny spheres magnetically and then reads out their signal. With this system, the team has been able to measure temperature differences to within 500 millikelvin in a volume of just 63 nanoliters. This technology could enable non-invasive temperature measurements inside living systems, or even the temperature inside a Kevlar vest as a bullet penetrates at 0.154. Leveraging cancer nanotechnology expertise for the COVID-19 pandemic, NIH-NCI, in collaboration with NIST and FDA, established the Nanotechnology Characterization Laboratory (NCL) to perform preclinical characterization of nanomaterials being proposed for use in cancer diagnostics and therapeutics. Notably, 23 collaborators of NCL reached clinical trials with the aid of data produced at the facility. Over its 20 years of operation, NCL has characterized more than 550 different nanomaterials, established over 89 standardized protocols for various nanoparticle assays, and published over 250 peer-reviewed publications covering nanoparticle characterization, immunotoxicity, and safety. As the only outward-facing federally funded resource for medical applications of nanotechnology, NCL continues to make substantial progress on cancer nanotechnologies, and is now harnessing that expertise and materials characterization infrastructure in response to the global COVID-19 pandemic. 151. Joy.org. 152. See the back cover of the NNI supplement to the President's 2021 budget. Nano.gov. 153. NIST.gov. Joy.org. 154. NIST.gov. Joy.org. 33. Carbon management at scale. Direct air capture demonstration facilities. Carbon management, particularly direct air capture (DAC), is another promising area identified by Nano4Earth participants where nanotechnology advancements can accelerate climate mitigation impacts. DOE's National Energy Technology Laboratory (NETL) DAC Center is a new facility that supports the rapid development of DAC technologies as part of the solution to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The facility supports testing at 3 different scales: lab scale to test long-term stability of materials, bench scale modules to examine flow dynamics, and small pilot scale for testing prototypes. The NETL DAC Center supports testing, development, and commercialization pathways for emerging technologies projects from innovators in industry, academia, and government that have achieved proof of concept but not yet full pilot scale technology readiness levels 3 to 6 under a broad range of climate conditions. The NETL DAC Center's advanced testing capabilities are currently investigating the degradation mechanism of various sorbents used in the DAC technologies. 155 sorbent materials are susceptible to thermal and oxidative degradation over their life cycles. Therefore, the DAC Center is working toward the design, testing, and validation of an accelerated aging test that will help predict the longevity and cost-effectiveness of these sorbent materials. This center will help innovators, research and development of new sorbent materials and designs to last longer in the field, ensuring safe, efficient, and cost-effective deployment at scale. 156. AFRL making strides in beamline capabilities and harnessing AI/ML. The Air Force Research Laboratory Materials Solutions Network at CHESS MSNC is a synchrotron X-ray resource to address design, manufacturing, and materials challenges facing the DoD tri-service and industry through collaborative research across nanotechnology, additive manufacturing, AI, machine learning, ML, and hypersonics with potential for biotechnology, space, and quantum sciences. MSNC provides significant staff support to users from machining to software development, including visualization and AI/ML analysis using novel algorithms optimized for graphics processing units (GPUs), providing significant improvements in computational speed. NIST worked with MSNC to develop autonomous experimentation towards nanoparticle synthesis and measurement of complex liquid mixtures to create robust data sets for further development of ML techniques for soft materials. 157 MSNC is supported through a partner funding model, with multiple organizations supporting its core facility and 2 beamlines providing measurement and characterization tools for nanotechnology R&D. The Structural Materials Beamline and Functional Materials Beamline FMB.158 advances have also been made with users on synthesis of quantum dots, 159 wafer-scale organic electronic materials, 160 in polymers for 3D printing with real-time analysis of the morphology. 161 US Army DEVCOM is taking 155, DOE.gov, 156, DOE.gov, 157, DOE.org, 158, DOE.org, 159, DOE.org, 160, DOE.org, 161, DOE.org. NETL researchers are studying how to increase the lifetimes and effectiveness of sorbents used in direct air capture technologies to remove CO2 from the air. Image credit, NETL. 34. Advantage of FMB's ability to support international traffic in arms regulations (ITAR) and export-controlled materials to perform studies that could not be done at other facilities. In 2023, FMB supported users across the DoD industrial base and services, including ARL, NRL, and NIST. AFRL-MSNC has also supported 4 public college summer undergraduate researchers and 3 interns. Plans for PCA3. Research infrastructure and instrumentation. PCA3 supports the establishment and operation of user facilities and networks, acquisition of major instrumentation, and other activities that develop, support, or enhance the nation's physical, data, and cyber infrastructure for nanoscale science, engineering, and technology. It includes R&D pertaining to the tools needed to advance nanotechnology research and commercialization, including informatics tools and next-generation instrumentation for characterization, measurement, synthesis, and design of materials, structures, devices, and systems. NNI participating agencies will continue to invest in this research infrastructure, which provides critical support to the entire NNI ecosystem. The NNI R&D infrastructure also enables other priority research areas such as quantum information science, microelectronics, and the Materials Genome Initiative. PCA3 accounts for 38% of the DOE investment, and over 51% of the NIST investment, in the 2025 NNI budget request. Key NNI infrastructure investments include the DOE NSRCs, the NSF NNCI, the NIST Seanston Boulder Microfabrication Facility, and the NIH NCI-NCL. The largest PCA3 investment in the 2025 NNI budget request is from DOE, followed by NIST, NSF, NIH, and DoD. Interagency coordination and leveraging across the NNI-supported infrastructure ecosystem will continue in 2025, following from and building on the September 2023 NNCO-initiated Nanotechnology Infrastructure Leadership Summit. 162. The 5 NSRCs 163 are the core of the DOE nanotechnology research infrastructure investments. Each center has a particular focus: synthesis and characterization, the Center for Functional Nanomaterials at Brookhaven National Laboratory. 164 Electronics, Photonics and Soft Hybrid Materials Assembly, Center for Integrated Nanotechnologies at Sandia National Laboratory and Los Alamos National Laboratory. 165 Interfaces, Interactions, and Nanoscale Assembly, the Center for Nanoscale Materials at Argonne National Laboratory. 166 Materials Science and Quantum Information Science, the Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. 167 and Soft Matter Synthesis, Functionality and Energy Conversion, Storage, the Molecular Foundry at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. 168. These are complemented by other DOE Office of Basic Energy Sciences scientific user facilities across the nation that offer cutting-edge instrumentation and highly trained staff scientists. All of these facilities are available through a competitive peer-reviewed proposal process. For 2025 and beyond, DOE is planning an NSRC recapitalization effort that will involve acquiring and installing 17 new instruments across the network of NSRCs, including advanced microscopes, lithography and deposition equipment, robotics and multimodal tools, novel sample. 162. Whitehouse.gov. 163. Sandia.gov. See the individual NSRC websites for details, or the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget, p. 32. Nano.gov. 164. BNL.gov. 165. LAML.gov. 166. ANL.gov. 167. ORNL.gov. 168. LBL.gov. 35. Environments and time-resolved tools. With an estimated completion date of January 2026, this NSRC recapitalization effort will add state-of-the-art capabilities in 3 important areas: 1. Decoding nanoscale dynamics and heterogeneity; 2. Expanding the limits of nanofabrication; and 3. Accelerating nanomaterial discovery and design. In addition to the recapitalization project, NSRCs devote a portion of their operating budgets to updating their capabilities. For example, the Center for Functional Nanomaterials at Brookhaven National Laboratory will be investing in a cryo-X-ray photoemission electron microscope, and CNMS at Oak Ridge National Laboratory will acquire a millikelvin scanning tunneling microscope. These and other NSRC activities going forward will be informed by the May 2024 DOE Basic Energy Sciences Advisory Committee report, New and Upgraded National User Facilities in Basic Energy Sciences. 169. NIST is sustaining its PCA3 research infrastructure investments at the Center for Nanoscale Science and Technology 170 and Center for Neutron Research NCNR 171 user facilities on the NIST Gaithersburg campus, the NIST Boulder Microfabrication Facility, and NIST capabilities at the National Synchrotron Light Source 2 NSLS 2.172. CNST provides important contributions to NIST support for semiconductor and microelectronics R&D and implementing the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022. NCNR is conducting an extensive repair, maintenance, and upgrade project that is expected to be complete in 2026. NIST Synchrotron Science Group, stationed at the NSLS-2 facility at Brookhaven National Laboratory, develops state-of-the-art synchrotron X-ray measurement technology around a core competency in X-ray absorbance spectroscopy. New NIST nanotechnology-related infrastructure investments funded under the CHIPS and Science Act include the National Semiconductor Technology Center and the CHIPS Manufacturing USA Institute. NSF support for the NNCI 173 user facilities and the NNCI Coordination Office will continue through 2025. See above in the Goal 3 section for additional details. Support for NNCI comes from almost all NSF directorates and the Office of International Science and Engineering in the Office of the Director. NNCI supports users from all areas of science and engineering, and also constitutes one of NSF's major contributions to infrastructure in support of the implementation of the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022. In addition to support for the semiconductor industry and advanced manufacturing more broadly, it supports other industries and technologies of the future such as quantum information science, biomedicine, biotechnology, and advanced wireless technologies. A key component of the NNCI program is education and outreach activities such as participation in the research experiences for undergraduates REU 174 and Veterans Research Supplement 175 programs. NNCI plans for 2025 include continued engagement with the broader nanotechnology infrastructure ecosystem, following from the September 2023 NNCO-run Nanotechnology Infrastructure Leaders Summit, organizing a Nano Internet of Things research community workshop, support for a Science Outside the Lab event in the summer of 2,025,176 and continuing innovation and entrepreneurship programs, such as the Spring 2025 NNC-wide Nanotechnology Entrepreneurship Challenge. 177. 169. OSTI.gov. 170. NIST.gov. 171, NIST.gov, 172, NIST.gov, 173, NNCI.net, 174, NSF.gov, 175, NSF.gov, 176, NNCI.net, 177, NNCI.net, 36. Additional NSF nanotechnology-related infrastructure investments include national facilities that provide specialized instrumentation and unique research capabilities such as the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory, 178 the Center for High Energy X-ray Sciences at a University High Energy Synchrotron Source CHESS, in collaboration with DoD, see below and also above in the Goal 3 section for details. 179 and the Materials Innovation Platforms, 180 all supported by the Division of Materials Research DMR within the MPS Directorate. DMR also leads in a collaboration with NIST to jointly support the Center for High-Resolution Neutron Scattering. 181 EMSA's Division of Chemistry leads in supporting the ChemMat-CARS Beamline 182 at the Advanced Photon Source, Argonne National Laboratory. NIH-NCI continues its steadfast support for the NCL, which specializes in characterizing nanomaterial formulations for imaging and therapeutic applications developed by researchers spanning academia, industry, and government sectors. Through its Assay Cascade program, NCL receives a diverse array of nanomedicine technologies, and has experience with virtually all nanoparticle platforms, therapeutic agents, and applications aimed at advancing cancer diagnostics and treatments. NCL has expanded its focus to include the evaluation of nanomedicine bioequivalence, as well as the assessment of personalized vaccine strategies and immunotherapies. In addition, NCL has initiated evaluations of nanotechnology-based strategies for the diagnosis and treatment of COVID-19, demonstrating its adaptability and commitment to addressing emerging health challenges. NIH-NIAID is committed to advancing capacities to develop and manufacture nanoparticle vaccines around the world. The NIAID Vaccine Research Center collaborates with a biotechnology company based in Cape Town, South Africa, to exchange scientific expertise to advance development and manufacture of mRNA-LNP vaccines. A team of vaccine production experts from South Africa has trained at NIH in Maryland as part of this global mRNA vaccine collaboration. This exchange will support efforts to produce large amounts of DNA, in vitro mRNA transcription, and lipid nanoparticle formulations, as well as create a foundation for additional research on next-generation mRNA-based vaccines for HIV, TB, malaria, influenza, cancer-associated viruses such as HPV, and other important diseases. DoD support for nanotechnology research infrastructure includes the Institute for Nanoscience at the Naval Research Laboratory and the AFRL Materials Solutions Network at CHESS. NRL maintains research facilities at Stennis, MS, Key West, Florida, Monterey, CA, and Washington, D.C., where the Institute for Nanoscience is located. The Institute for Nanoscience and its companion, the Institute for Quantum Science, support DoD nanotechnology research in 7 focus areas for fundamental and applied research, including electromagnetic and undersea warfare, battlespace environments, information technology and electronics, materials and chemistry, and space research and technology. Facilities at the Institute for Nanoscience include a 5,000 square feet Class 100 clean room, ultra-quiet environmentally controlled lab modules, electron beam, optical, direct write, and 3D lithography systems, multiple deposition, etch, and ion mill systems, a plasma-enhanced atomic layer deposition system, and scanning electron, scanning tunneling, and atomic force microscopes. Recent and planned capital equipment investments include a 200 mm wafer handling capability and electron beam lithography capable of 7 nanometers minimum feature sizes. 178, FSU.edu. 179, Cornell.edu, 180, NSF.gov, 181, NIST.gov, 182, UChicago.edu, 37. DoD's AFRL, in partnership with CHESS funded by NSF, 183 continues to support the Materials Solutions Network at CHESS, which is transforming synchrotron X-ray techniques to engineering tools with standards, automation, and mature workflows through service lab industry academia collaborative research. One of the facility's unique capabilities is the ability to work on materials and processes that are restricted under ITAR or national security export controls. See above in the Goal 3 section for additional details. Discussions with NIST about additional partnership opportunities are underway in 2024. Plans for 2025 include establishing a user consortium with membership fees and the development of measurement tools for extreme environments. AIM Photonics, NextFlex, and other manufacturing USA Institutes 184 also constitute major DoD contributions to the nanotechnology research infrastructure. Progress on Goal 4. Engage the public and expand the nanotechnology workforce. Nanotechnology innovation relies on STEM talent and a highly skilled workforce. Thousands of students are trained every year in NNI-supported nanotechnology user facilities and research centers. There are also targeted curriculum development efforts and internship programs, and NNI-funded research centers partner with community colleges to promote training of the technical workforce. There are particular efforts to promote opportunities and access to resources for people in traditionally underserved communities. NNCO works with NNI participating agencies, university-based student groups, and teachers' organizations to conduct public outreach and help inspire students to learn about nanotechnology and to pursue STEM careers. 185 Just a few examples of NNI progress in Goal 4 are featured below. NSF's NNCI education and outreach activities reach more than 40,000 people. Network events included the Nano Summer Institute for Middle School Teachers, involving 10 NNCI sites with over 100 teachers from around 15 states, and the annual REU Convocation, involving 87 students across 12 NNCI sites. Summer internship programs for undergraduates and veterans continued through the REU and Veterans Research Supplement programs. One REU program conducted in partnership between two public universities focused on developing skills in Arctic geoscience research by integrating studies of bedrock geology with records of environmental change. 4 REU students conducted fieldwork in Greenland, then brought their samples to the Nano Earth NNCI facility for analysis and shared their experiences at the REU Convocation. NNCI sites also continue to provide meaningful learning opportunities for advanced degrees, with students earning 671 doctorates, 578 masters, and 257 BSBA degrees between 2022 and 2024. 183. NSF.gov. AWD_ID equals 1946998. 184. ManufacturingUSA.com. 185 See examples of NNCO outreach activities illustrated on the inside back cover of this report, and in the sidebar in this section of the report. 38. Expanding the clean energy and nanotechnology workforce. Education, training, and workforce development are key component areas of the Nano for Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. To scale and implement nanotechnology-enabled solutions to climate change, the community needs to expand and train the future clean energy and nanotechnology workforce. Next-generation batteries will provide energy storage solutions that minimize or eliminate the reliance on lithium and other critical materials. Next-generation battery manufacturing provides an employment opportunity as the country expands its investments to onshore manufacturing capabilities. Through a DOE grant, a company producing nanocomposite silicon lithium batteries for vehicles and other applications is developing an innovative education program to train the future battery workforce in Moses Lake, Washington. The company is developing batteries using less critical materials without compromising performance, due to their silicon-based nanocomposite anodes, and was a prior NSF SBIR awardee. The company is partnering with local education hubs in Moses Lake, WA. As part of this program, students will receive the interdisciplinary experiential learning in mechanical, electrical, and software engineering needed for successful employment at the nanocomposite silicon anode manufacturing plant the company is currently building in Moses Lake. Through the DOE grant, the company will provide equipment and curriculum development for each school. And will also facilitate internships and scholarships for students. Students who participate in the program will receive a certificate for manufacturing competency. At full capacity, this plant will produce enough batteries for 1 million electric vehicles and employ over 500 people. 186. NIFA creating opportunities for the next generation of students and faculty. NIFA continues providing opportunities through nanotechnology R&D and education to support the development of workforce for the growing research fields at the nanotechnology agriculture food nexus. Postdoctoral fellowships are provided through the AFRI Education and Workforce Development Program. 187 These fellowships are designed to be transferable across institutions, so recipients can apply for and begin faculty positions with their own funding sources. In 2024, 2 prior awardees are starting new faculty positions and are successfully negotiating their start dates as they begin their independent research careers. In June 2024, NIFA supported the NanoScale Science and Engineering for Agriculture and Food Systems Gordon Research Conference that included NNCO participation. Attendees came together to discuss impactful nanotechnology applications for sustainable food production. This was preceded by student-led sessions. Lastly, a faculty member from a public university was recognized with a Distinguished Faculty Lectureship for sustained excellence in teaching, scholarship, and service. That faculty member's public lecture focused on nanotechnology innovations for shared sustainability. 186. Nano.gov. 187. USDA.gov. SILA announced its new plan for workforce development in Moses Lake, Washington, WA at a community roundtable at SILA's Moses Lake plant featuring Governor Jay Inslee, U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm, and Senator Maria Cantwell. Image credit, SILA. 39. Including research supported by NIFA and NSF examining nanotechnology-enabled phosphorus use efficiency for sustainable agriculture practices. Gaining regulatory expertise through FDA internships. FDA CFSAN uses the Joint Institute for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Internship Program, which is administered jointly by FDA and a public land-grant university, to allow undergraduate students to participate in research, including on nanotechnology-related regulatory science projects, at FDA facilities. Undergraduate students from minority and underserved communities participate in CFSAN nanotechnology research under the direction of staff scientists through the DOE's Minority Educational Institution Student Partnership Program. Finally, through its cooperative agreement with the Institute of Food Safety and Health, CFSAN offers graduate students at a private research university training opportunities in several of CFSAN's nanotechnology research programs. These students have gone on to enroll in PhD programs and full-time industry jobs. Plans for PCA4. Education and Workforce Development. PCA4 supports research on and development of curriculum and other tools for effective training of students at all stages of education, from K-12 to community colleges and vocational schools, through doctoral and postdoctoral education in the skills needed to succeed in the nanotechnology workforce. While student support to perform research is captured in other categories, dedicated educational efforts ranging from outreach to advanced training are included here as resources supporting the nanotechnology workforce. PCA4 also includes support for programs, partnerships, or personnel exchanges among government, academia, and industry to develop the desired workforce skills and competencies. This PCA further encompasses mechanisms for public engagement and informal education. Activities under PCA4 are consistent with Recommendation 3 of the 2023 PCAST assessment of the NNI, to enhance NNI activities related to supporting interdisciplinary, experiential learning. In response to this recommendation, NNCO will convene a public meeting on experiential and multidisciplinary learning and education, example including representatives of NNI participating agencies and the education community, to raise awareness of programs and practices in multidisciplinary experiential learning programs across the federal government. See above in Chapter 1 for details. NNCO will develop a matrix of federally funded multidisciplinary experiential learning programs, including K-12, community college, undergraduate, and graduate programs that agencies can use as a reference and resource for themselves and their grantees. Participating agencies include DoD, DOE, DAL, NASA, NSF, and USDA. The event is tentatively scheduled for early in calendar year 2025. Many NNI R&D and infrastructure programs support education and workforce development, therefore even agencies that do not report funding to PCA4 are contributing to the NNI's education and workforce development efforts. NSF accounts for the majority of NNI funding reported to PCA4, followed by NIH, DoD, and DOJ. A sampling of current and planned NNI agency activities related to PCA4 is summarized below. Educational curriculum development and activities are among the priorities established by the Nano4 Earth Planning Group for the upcoming fiscal year. The group is establishing a formal collaboration with teachers from the environmental and climate change literacy projects and the Nano Educators Quarterly Forum to develop classroom material based on the Nano4 Earth Roundtable discussions. 40. NSF programs that support nanotechnology education and workforce development include ROIS, 188. Research experiences for teachers RET in engineering and computer science, 189 RET in the biological sciences, 190 advanced technological education 8, 191 historically black colleges and universities HBCU undergraduate, 192 centers of research excellence in science and technology CREST centers, 193 Lewis Stokes Alliances for Minority Participation LSAMP, 194 research traineeship, 195 scholarships in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, 196 tribal colleges and universities, 197 and NSF inclusion across the nation of communities of learners of underrepresented discoverers in engineering and science includes 0.198 examples of the kinds of awards funded under these programs include RED awards to NNCI sites to provide high school and community college faculty with opportunities to engage in high-quality, hands-on nanotechnology research in state-of-the-art NNCI facilities, 199 REU awards, also to NNCI sites, to provide undergraduates with cutting-edge research experience on hybrid perovskite systems for solar cells, lighting, and lasers, 200 and an LSAMP award to an HBCU to collaborate with a community college and a public university to use nanotechnology and its many applications as a conduit for engaging and inspiring talented students from traditionally underrepresented minority populations. 201. At NASA, nanotechnology-related internship opportunities are available from high school through graduate levels that offer students an opportunity to gain practical work experience while working side by side with mentors. Internships may be full-time or part-time. Under NASA's EPSCoR program, designed to strengthen the research capability of jurisdictions that have not in the past participated equitably in competitive aerospace research activities, students are participating in research projects on AI-enabled electrospinning of nanofiber membranes towards in-space manufacturing, improving space solar power with photon-concentrating devices, and an assessment of the impact of temperature cycles and outgassing on fiber-packaged silicon photonic transceivers, a project under NASA's EPSCoR International Space Station Flight Opportunity Program. 202 NASA has a variety of academic research programs, including space technology research institutes, early career faculty, and early-stage innovations programs that support nanotechnology workforce development by partnering with academia and engaging a range of students and early career technologists. For example, the Institute for Ultra-Strong Composites by Computational Design 203, a space technology research institute, continuing through 2024, is training postdoctoral researchers as well as students at the undergraduate, master's and PhD levels across multiple universities. Student development opportunities are also 188, nsf.gov, 189, nsf.gov, 190, nsf.gov, 191, nsf.gov, 192, nsf.gov, 193, nsf.gov, 194, nsf.gov, 195, nsf.gov, 196, nsf.gov, 197, nsf.gov, 198, nsf.gov, nsf.gov, 199 e.g., nsf.gov, AWD_ID equals 1953418. 200 e.g., nsf.gov, AWD_ID equals 2050841. 201, nsf.gov, AWD_ID equals 1826735. 202, nasa.gov, 203, nasa.gov. 41. Provided in NASA's Space Technology Graduate Research Opportunities Program, it supports students pursuing master's or doctoral degrees in topic areas aligned with the NASA Space Technology Mission Directorate Strategic Framework, many of which are nanotechnology related. 204 Each student is matched with a technically relevant and community-engaged NASA subject matter expert who serves as the student's research collaborator. Additional programs that may support nanotechnology topics for 2025 include annual funding opportunities open to universities, e.g., University Small Sat Technology Partnerships, 205 NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts, 206 and Lunar Surface Technology Research Opportunities, 207, and funding opportunities open to the public, e.g., NASA Tournament Lab, 208, which uses crowdsourcing to tackle NASA challenges, and prizes and challenges. 209. A key USDA NEFA program that supports nanotechnology education and workforce development is the AFRI Education and Workforce Development Program, 210, which includes program areas on professional development for agricultural literacy, agricultural workforce training at community colleges, food and agricultural non-formal education, research and extension experiences for undergraduates, and predoctoral and postdoctoral fellowships. Examples of nanotechnology projects funded under this program include research on plant virus nanoparticle technology for plant vaccines and on plant-derived nanovesicles for nucleic acid delivery for control of microbial pathogens. NEFA-supported researchers participate in NNI public webinars that provide educational content for both the research community and the general public, including the February 2024 webinar on nanometrology for food, agriculture and the environment. 211 NEFA also continues to support the biannual Gordon Research Conference on Nanoscale Science and Engineering for Agriculture and Food Systems, 212, which plays an educational role in disseminating and exchanging information on nanotechnology applications for sustainable food production. Progress on Goal 5. Ensure the responsible development of nanotechnology. The responsible development of nanotechnology has been an integral part and goal of the NNI since its inception. This includes long-standing considerations such as understanding ethical, legal, and other social implications (ELSI) and nanotechnology-related environmental, health, and safety (nano-EHS) implications of nanotechnology development, as well as inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and the responsible conduct of research. These efforts support the other NNI goals by helping ensure the integrity of nanotechnology R&D and fostering public confidence and regulatory certainty, all of which speeds laboratory discoveries to market. Just a few examples of these efforts are illustrated below. Expanding and strengthening responsible development in the NNI. In July 2024, NNCO convened a public workshop 213 with social science experts working in areas that intersect with the responsible development of nanotechnology. The highly interdisciplinary participants exchanged flash talks on 204, nasa.gov, 205, nasa.gov, 206, nasa.gov, 207, nasa.gov, 208, nasa.gov, 209, nasa.gov, 210, USDA.gov, 211, nano.gov, 212, grc.org, 213, nano.gov, 42. Their areas of specialty, heard perspectives from the European Union and OSTP, 214, and engaged in dialogues on specific case studies inspired by current activities in federal agencies. Together, federal scientists and social scientists explored potential intersections between social science approaches and nanotechnology R&D. The NNCO is producing a report summarizing the workshop and providing an outlook for next steps, lessons learned, and actions to operationalize ideas generated at the workshop to reinvigorate networks and ensure integration of social science concepts in future visions of interdisciplinary nanotechnology research, development, and training. Working together to address 3D printing products of common interest. CPSC, EPA, NIOSH and NIST collaborative work, leveraging respective agency strengths, continues to evaluate emissions, factors influencing emissions, and the potential toxicity from exposure to emissions from 3D printers, including the release and accumulation of nanoplastics as well as the potential release of engineered nanomaterials, e.g., CNTs, from 3D printed products. This interagency work has expanded to new types of 3D printers that are becoming more affordable to small businesses and the public, with an emphasis starting in 2023 on potential exposures to children. In 2023 and 2024, 4 technical reports were received, 2 on early work on 3D printer emission characterization (NIST) and emission toxic effects (NIOSH). Both reports are under final review at CPSC and will be posted when cleared for public release. In addition to these technical reports, 5 papers were published in 2023-2024 on 3D printer studies, and the group led a special session on 3D printing at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) Working Party on Manufactured Nanomaterials (WPMN) annual meeting. NIOSH continues its toxicology studies on the potential hazards of the printer emissions. In contrast to results from an in vitro study published in 2022, the 2024 studies on whole body inhalation exposure to a low concentration of polycarbonate filament emissions induced no significant pulmonary toxicity. 215 but similar exposures resulted in neuroendocrine system effects. 216 EPA 3D printer studies include investigating the presence of environmentally persistent free radicals on total particulate matter released from 3D printers using ABS filaments. 217 and they come to similar conclusions as the recently released NIOSH Guide on Safe 3D Printing. 218 that wearing gloves and washing hands may adequately reduce metal exposure risks for brittle feedstock. Lastly, work performed by a public research university under CPSC contract developed a best practice white paper that serves to assist staff in applying current thinking regarding nanotoxicology when assessing the safety of products. That report is also under final review at CPSC. NIOSH celebrated the 20th anniversary of its Nanotechnology Research Center (NTRC) in October 2024 with a NIOSH NTRC Nanotechnology Health and Safety Summit, also hosted by the University. 219. 214. Whitehouse.gov. 215. Joy.org. 216. Joy.org. 217. Joy.org. Springer.com. Joy.org. 218. CDC.gov. 219. UC.edu. 43. Responsible development of nanotechnology to address sustainability of energy materials. There are concerns the transition to clean energy technologies will increase the demand for rare earth metals and other critical minerals. Developing alternatives for rare earth metals and more efficient, sustainable ways of extracting and refining them are 2 pillars of the DOS critical minerals and materials strategy. 220 Nanotechnology may provide solutions and has begun to impact the sustainable energy landscape. 221 For example, the use of carbon nanomaterials to replace or supplement energy and resource-intensive metals could impact the overall demand for extraction and processing of primary materials. 222. Nanotechnology is also being used to develop more efficient and environmentally sustainable ways of extracting critical minerals from ores and recycled products. With support from DOE, researchers from a private research university with collaborators from multiple national laboratories have improved a high-temperature electrochemical process called electrowinning by using a nanometer scale coating of ruthenium dioxide on graphite as the anode in the process for refining neodymium metal, resulting in greatly reduced CO2 and perfluorocarbon greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions compared to conventional processing methods. 223 In another example, work funded by DOE and EPA several years ago on the recovery of metals from recycled products using CNT-enabled filters. 224 is now being commercialized by a startup company that recently received funding from DOE AMMTO, a major heavy equipment manufacturer, and other investors. 225. Nanomaterials are also being used to develop new battery chemistries and architectures to minimize the dependence on critical materials with supply chain issues, such as lithium and cobalt. Environmental, health and safety research and life cycle assessment are the building blocks for identifying and engineering more sustainable or efficient replacements consistent with responsible technological innovation. 226 The Nano for Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge has created a national focal point for U.S. efforts to leverage the responsible development of nanotechnology to tackle climate change. 227. Coordinating on micro and nanoplastics priorities. In July 2024, the White House released its strategy to tackle plastic pollution, mobilizing federal action on plastic pollution, progress, principles, and priorities. 228 Including recommended actions specific to micro and nanoplastics. Federal agencies are well positioned to build on their ongoing work to better understand and address the impact of plastic pollution, and some examples are outlined below, including leveraging of interagency nano-EHS expertise. NNI agencies have collaborated on nano-EHS research through interagency agreements, data sharing, and joint planning of research priorities facilitated by discussions in the NSET subcommittees. 220. Energy.gov. 221. Joy.org. 222. Joy.org. 223. Joy.org. 224. Joy.org. 225. NTHcycle.com. 226. Joy.org. 227. Nano.gov. 228. Whitehouse.gov. Photo of critical metal neodymium produced using a novel electrolysis process developed with funding from DOE. Neodymium is essential for producing magnets, key to clean energy and defense applications. Neodymium production using the process can enable a resilient domestic mine-to-magnet supply chain. Image credit, Case Western Reserve University. 44. NEHI Working Group. For example, the NIH National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences NIEHS Division of Translational Toxicology is collaborating with FDA NCTR to support development of standards and analytical approaches for characterization and quantitation of nanomaterials, including characterization of real-world samples containing nanoplastics. These studies will facilitate appropriate planning for studies to assess the potential human health impact of exposure to nanoplastics. CDC, NCEH and CDC ATSDR published open-source reviews on micro and nanoplastics with estimated exposures from each of 3 routes of exposures. 229 major exposure sources are found to be inhalation and ingestion from diet, packaging materials, and other day-to-day consumer products. NCEH studied an optical imaging technique specific to nanoplastics with high chemical specificity 230 and conducted a systematic review of micro and nanoplastics in water and potential health effects. 231 FDA recently published a perspective article on the analysis of micro and nanoplastics in human food. 232 to inform the basic research community about the regulatory science ecosystem so future micro and nanoplastic studies are more consistent in the application of methodology, enabling better cross-study comparisons to support science-based policy and decision-making. 233 The USGS Water Resources Mission Area supported work to establish a micro and nanoplastic strategic Science Vision Report. 234. Prioritizing research relevant to the mission, expertise, and capabilities of the agency. Tracking the growing literature is an ongoing challenge, but ATSDR has developed hubs of interactive literature to provide an interactive, searchable, user-friendly companion to traditional review articles. 235 This platform helps members of the public and research communities to better access and understand the expanding literature and help facilitate decision-making on these complicated topics. Building on prior work, EPIS Trash Free Waters TFW program released a report in April 2,023,236. Summarizing challenges and opportunities related to addressing tire wear particle pollution, a significant category of microplastics found in waterways, following 2 roundtables involving stakeholders from national, state, tribal, and local governments, along with industry, academia, and non-governmental organizations. To address the growing concerns over tire pollution, EPA researchers led an effort to investigate the life cycle of tires and their impacts on the environment. 237 Providing a holistic examination and data synthesis on tires as complex pollutants across 3 levels. Their whole state, e.g., tire production or disposal in landfills, as particulates, e.g., as they are worn down, and as a mixture of chemical cocktails. In addition, in July 2024, the TFW program and NOAA's Marine Debris Program released Interagency Marine Debris Coordinating Committee Report on Microfiber Pollution. 238. As called for in the Save Our Seas 2.0 Act, classifying chemicals for regulatory evaluation. DoD is advancing the science on chemical classes. 239. And how to group chemicals for evaluation or regulation, complementary to ongoing work at EPA. 229. DOI.org, DOI.org, 230, DOI.org, 231, NANE.org, 232, NIH.gov, 233, DOI.org, 234, DOI.org, 235, Tableau.com, 236, EPA.gov, 237, DOI.org, 238, Amazonas.com, 239, DOI.org, 45. Including on PFAS. 2401 Difficulty is that some groups, including those of high interest like PFAS and nanomaterials, still lack unified definitions within the research community, let alone within regulatory bodies. Along with publishing, DoD maintains active communication with toxicologists within the services and across the federal government. This ongoing push is especially timely to streamline assessment and regulation of these chemicals due to the number of them on the market and their complexity. Plans for PCA5. Responsible development. PCA5 covers a broad range of activities to ensure responsible development of nanotechnology. Activities include research and development directed at understanding the potential environmental, health, and safety impacts of nanotechnology, and at assessing, managing, and mitigating identified risks. Research addressing the broad implications of nanotechnology for society is also captured in this PCA. Responsible development encompasses efforts to benefit society addressing topics such as social, economic, ethical, and legal considerations, as well as issues related to diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. Research integrity, safety, and reproducibility are also captured in PCA5. While PCA5 investments comprise a small portion of the overall NNI investments, they account for very large percentages, in some cases 100%, of the nanotechnology budgets of key regulatory, environmental, and worker protection agencies. They are also critical to maintaining public confidence in the safety and effectiveness of nanotechnology-enabled applications supported under other PCAs, to establishing regulatory clarity for companies seeking to commercialize nanotechnology products, and to assuring that the benefits of the NNI's nanotechnology investments accrue to the benefit of all Americans. The NNI participating agencies with dedicated funding in PCA5, in order of amount of funding requested for 2025, are NIH, followed by NSF, NIOSH, EPA, NIST, FDA, NEFA, DoD, and CPSC. See Table 5 on p. 8. For details, PCA5 funding at NIH has increased from $12.50 million in the 2024 request published in the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget $241 and $17.90 Million in estimated 2024 funding published in this year's budget to $20.10. Million in the 2025 request. The total NNI funding request for PCA5 increased from $51.90 million in 2024 to $53.10 million in the proposed 2025 budget. Research on incidental nanomaterials of particular potential environmental and human health concern, e.g., micro and nanoplastics and 3D printer emissions, is an area of emphasis in NNI Nano EHS investments for 2024-2025. Agency activities in these areas are coordinated by informal interagency interest groups, with support from NNCO. These are among several new topics that are addressed in the NNI's updated EHS research strategy, which was published in December 2024.242. The updated strategy is based in part on extensive public outreach, including a request for information, 243 a public meeting, 244 in a draft posted for public comment in June, 2,024,245 in addition to extensive internal discussion and review by the participating agencies and the Executive Office of the President. 240. ScienceDirect.com. 241. Nano.gov. p. 8. 242. Nano.gov. 243. FederalRegister.gov. 244. Nano.gov. 245. FederalRegister.gov. 46. NNCO also supports the US-EU Nano EHS Communities of Research Course 246, which provide a platform for scientists in Europe, the United States, and other regions of the world to collaboratively identify and address key research needs through community-led activities such as telecons, webinars, publications, and annual in-person meetings. There are currently 7 cores addressing questions about the potential EHS implications of nanomaterials, and work is being done to expand this effort, particularly beyond the EU. Each core has 1 US-based co-chair and 1 EU-based co-chair. The cores hold an annual workshop, typically rotating between being located in the United States and European Union. The most recent workshop took place on October 16, 2024, in Switzerland. 247. Many of the agencies participating in the NEHI working group coordinate on Nano EHS database and informatics efforts through an informal interagency interest group. The group continues building off of the NNI 2023 Nanoinformatics Conference and associated publication of the meeting's proceedings 248. On issues including nano-informatics infrastructure and interoperability, NNCO co-hosted the conference and participated in preparation of the manuscript, which was led by EPA members of the interest group. The Nano EHS efforts of NIH's National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences are designed to gain a fundamental understanding of the molecular and pathological pathways involved in mediating biological responses to engineered nanomaterials. Building on the previous efforts of the Nanotechnology Health Implications Research Consortium, 249 current NIEHS-funded nano-EHS efforts include investigator-initiated projects, e.g., research focused on understanding how nanoparticle exposure modulates allergic lung disease using animal models. Planned activities in the NIH-NIEHS Division of Translational Toxicology include completion of analysis and reporting of studies evaluating immunotoxicity and chronic carcinogenicity of multi-walled nanotubes. The NIEHS Superfund Research Program 250 plans to emphasize research that develops nanotechnology-enabled structures to enhance sustainable remediation and to enable rapid, accurate environmental monitoring, as well as occupational health training curriculum for nanotechnologies. The NIEHS SBIR-STTR program also supports research efforts for developing tools for nanomaterials exposure monitoring, including characterization of toxicity of airborne engineered nanomaterials using a direct in vitro exposure method and development of a third-party verification process for characterizing exposures to products containing engineered nanomaterials. NIEHS will continue to accept applications through 2027 from its Notice of Special Interest for Extramural Research to promote investigations on exposure to and health effects of micro and nanoplastics. 251 To gain more insight into nanoplastics, NIEHS-funded researchers modified an imaging technique called stimulated Raman scattering microscopy to rapidly detect micro and nanoplastics in bottled drinking water. 252 This technique holds promise for analyzing micro and nanoplastics in complicated environmental and biological samples such as tap water, indoor and outdoor air samples, and biological tissues. Nano-EHS-related research at NSF in support of nanomaterials characterization, interfacial nanoscale phenomena, and exposure is performed in NSF's core programs. For example, the NanoScale Interactions Program 253 in the Eng Directorate's Division of Chemical, Bioengineering, Environmental. 246. ASTASHU.org. 247. ASTASHU.org. 248. DOI.org. 249. NIH.gov. 250. NIH.gov. 251. NIH.gov. 252. NIH.gov. 253. NSF.gov. 47. And Transport Systems CBET supports research to advance fundamental and quantitative understanding of the interactions of nanomaterials and nanosystems with biological and environmental media. Examples of awards that have been funded from core programs supporting nano-EHS research include the use of machine learning to predict nanobio interactions in the protein corona for nanoparticles that may be used in medicine, materials, and agriculture to aid in understanding the potential human health effects of those particles, and biophysical mechanisms of interactions between micro nanoplastics and natural pulmonary surfactants. ENG is also supporting award supplements to support U.S.-Africa collaboration on nanotechnology convergence for sustainable development, including sponsoring the third Nanotechnology Convergence for Sustainable Energy, Environment, Climate Change and Health, a U.S.-Africa conference, held in July 2024 in Casablanca, Morocco. 254 The MPS Directorate continues to support the Center for Sustainable Nanotechnology at a public land-grant university. 255 NSF also supports research on EHS implications of micro and nanoplastics through core programs in multiple directorates, coordinated through a DCL on critical aspects of sustainability. Micro and nanoplastics. 256 Research on prevention of plastic waste through the development of recyclable, upcyclable, and/or biodegradable polymers enabled in part by nanotechnology is supported by a new initiative in research solicitation in partnership with industry on sustainable polymers enabled by emerging data analytics. 257 The Eco-Manufacturing Thrust Area in the Future Manufacturing Program also supports research on recycling, upcycling, repurposing, repairing, and reusing not only polymers but all materials systems. 258 NSF's Directorate for Social, Behavioral and Economic Sciences funds research on ethical, legal, and other social implications related to nanotechnology. A major component of the NSF activity in this area is support for ELSI and broader responsible development activities at the NNCI centers. Examples include surveying and examining the career paths of former NNCI research facility users, surveying and interviewing scholars to understand how societal and economic implications issues can make their way into classrooms, running a faculty, Science Outside the Lab, program to train nanoscience faculty from across the country and how science policy impacts their work and vice versa, and raising public awareness of nanoscience through a nanojournalism initiative. CDC NIOSH is a leader in federal government research on understanding the potential human health and safety implications of nanotechnology, with a specific focus on addressing worker health and safety needs related to nanotechnology by developing and deploying effective solutions with industry. NIOSH research advances the understanding of nanotechnology-related toxicology and workplace exposures, so that effective risk management practices can be implemented during the discovery, development, and commercialization of engineered nanomaterials along their product life cycles. Through strategic planning, research, collaborating with stakeholders, and dissemination, NIOSH develops guidance that supports and promotes the safe and responsible development and commercialization of engineered nanomaterials. NIOSH conducts toxicology studies that advance the understanding of potential human health implications of exposure to nanomaterials. These studies assist in determining the biological mechanisms of toxic effects and how the key chemical and physical factors of engineered nanomaterials may influence these mechanisms. NIOSH is advancing a realistic view of the impact of 254, inconf.us 255, wisc.edu, nsf.gov, awd_ID equals 2001611, 256, nsf.gov, wt.mc_it equals usnsf_25 and wt.mc_ev equals click. 257, nsf.gov, 258, nsf.gov, 48. Nanomaterials along the life cycle by using real-world materials and exposure data to guide toxicology testing regimens. These results are correlated with health studies conducted among workers at facilities where activities with these materials are performed, in order to gain a realistic view of the impact of nanomaterials in their actual manufactured state. NIOSH plans to develop novel laboratory-based analytical methods that provide accurate workplace exposure estimates and determine representative particle characteristics. Additional plans include characterizing workplace exposures and determining relevant facility and worker characteristics. NIOSH will develop occupational safety and health guidance that can be incorporated into business plans to both protect worker safety and promote safe application development and commercialization. It will also recruit companies that produce or handle CNTs to participate in a carbon nanotube registry, a long-term research effort dedicated to understanding workplace health risks associated with CNTs. NIOSH will collaborate with the America Makes Manufacturing USA Institute, including universities and industry, to promote safe practices in nanotechnology and advanced manufacturing. It will work with industry to develop practical, real-world, evaluation of hazard and risk represented by nanomaterials through their life cycles, focus the NIOSH field research effort on outputs that support sustainable operations, and collaborate with industry to assess the toxicology of carbon-based, metal-based, nanocellulose, and nanoclay-enabled materials. NIOSH collaborates with a nonprofit construction research and training center, trade unions, and industrial partners to evaluate nanotechnology-enabled spray coatings, composites, and other nanotechnology-enabled materials in construction and manufacturing. It will also continue its work with ISO TC 229, Nanotechnologies, OECD WPMN, as well as the ASTM International Technical Committee E56 on nanotechnology. EPA engagement in nanotechnology occurs in both the research and regulatory domains. EPA's nanotechnology-related research is conducted as part of the Chemical Safety for Sustainability and Safe and Sustainable Water Resources National Research Programs within the Office of Research and Development ORD. Research on engineered nanomaterials is focused on developing, collating, mining, and applying information to inform both exposure and hazard assessments and support risk-based decisions related to the agency's implementation of the Toxic Substances Control Act (TSCA) and the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act (FIFRA). These efforts are coordinated with the Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention (OCSPP), which is responsible for implementation of these statutes. EPA's Trash Free Waters program works to reduce the volume of trash entering U.S. waters by collaborating with partners to implement solutions to land-based sources of trash, including microplastics. Additionally, ORD's research is used broadly by multiple stakeholders. To inform plans and priorities for PCA5, ORD will conduct research to inform safety assessments of emerging materials, which require evaluation of the environmental impacts of emerging materials on humans and ecological species. Emerging materials of relevance and interest may include nanopesticides and nanoplastics as well as other engineered and incidental nanomaterials. Investigation of the human and environmental health effects of nanoplastics will include a focus on developing analytical methods for the detection of nanoplastics in environmental, cellular, and tissue matrices. These data will support health studies and standardizing methods to assess ecological effects of nanoplastics for sensitive species. In addition, support for implementation of an evaluation framework for nanomaterials under FIFRA is an ongoing need. OCSPP is actively engaged in international cooperation efforts with OECD, including with new projects, guidance documents, and test guidelines through OECD's Working Group of National Coordinators of 49. The Test Guidelines Program, and through participation in OECD WPMN. Additionally, OCSPP participates in multiple working groups, including the US-EU Nano EHS Cores, the NNI's Nanoplastics and Nanosensors Interest Groups, and the NEHI Working Group. The Department of State also coordinates U.S. participation in the OECD Working Party for Biotechnology, Nanotechnology, and Converging Technologies. NIST will continue its research and development of reference and test materials for particle number concentration measurements, liposome and mRNA lipid nanoparticles, and pristine and weathered nanoplastics. There are 3 categories of NIST activities in support of micro and nanoplastics research. 1. Collecting and characterizing of real-world environmental samples, e.g., at the Center for Marine Debris Research, a joint institute between NIST and a university. 259. 2. Generating laboratory models and methods inside of established protocols. And 3. Conducting research at the frontiers of physical measurement, developing new capabilities and methods that advance and elevate the quality of the measurements and data on micro and nanoplastics pollution. 260. Environmental sampling activities include collecting micro and nanoplastics from beach and ocean sediments and other types of environment samples and filtering and fractionating those samples and the particles that are obtained from them in the laboratory environment. Laboratory models and testing activities include accelerated aging, weathering to simulate degradation in aquatic environments, developing milling protocols for making test materials, and developing a cell-based model of the intestinal tract to assess uptake of particles. Advanced measurement research includes the application of new instrumentation capabilities to nanoplastics research and building a new laboratory for nanoplastics in liquid media. NIST also is pursuing important work in developing and validating micro and nanoplastics reference materials and standards, such as producing research-grade test materials through cryo-milling of commercial plastic samples, collecting environmental specimens and converting them into reference materials, and producing high-precision micro and nanoscale arrays for calibrating imaging tools. NIST is producing and offering a number of plastic polymer standard reference materials with relevance to the study of plastic pollution. 261. EHS considerations are also an important component of NIST's investments in research under the CHIPS and Science Act. One of the early R&D programs announced under the National Semiconductor Technology Center will address issues associated with the use of PFAS in semiconductor manufacturing. 262. FDA invests in nanotechnology research to help address questions related to the safety, effectiveness, quality, and/or regulatory status of products that contain engineered nanomaterials or otherwise involve the use of nanotechnology. FDA also invests in research to develop models for safety and efficacy assessment, as well as study the behavior of nanomaterials in biological systems and their effects on both human and animal health. FDA scientists are actively involved in collaborative consensus standards development and in organizing meetings and symposia related to nanotechnology. These investments and activities support FDA's mission to protect and promote public health and to help foster the responsible development of nanotechnology. FDA's Nanotechnology Task Force facilitates communication and cooperation across the agency on 259. NIST.gov, 260C, NIST.gov, 261, NIST.gov, 262, Semiconductors.org. See elsewhere in this report, and in the NNI supplement to the President's 2022 budget, page 41, for information on potential nanotechnology-enabled solutions to issues associated with PFAS, as well as additional information in the NNI supplements to the President's 2023 and 2024 budgets. Nano.gov. 50. Nanotechnology research, and with national and international stakeholders. It provides the overall coordination of FDA's nanotechnology research efforts in 1. Scientific staff development and professional training, 2. Laboratory and product testing capacity, and 3. Collaborative and interdisciplinary nanotechnology research. NIFA invests in PCA5 to support EHS assessments of engineered nanoparticles applied in food and agricultural systems, including detection and quantification of engineered nanoparticles and the characterization of their potential hazards, exposure levels, transport, and fate in foods, agricultural production, and the environment. NIFA support for research on distributed sensing networks for precise application of agricultural inputs is also relevant to nano EHS. NIFA supports research on social, ethical, cultural, legal, and other potential impacts of nanotechnology through AFRI's Social Implications of Food and Agriculture Technologies Priority Area 263 within the Agriculture, Economics and Rural Communities Program. 264. This research engages a range of individuals including scientists, legal scholars, bioethicists, social scientists, and researchers from the humanities, the public, and other stakeholders to assess the technology's merits and risks and/or examine issues and modes of communication. DoD supports a modest amount of nano-EHS research within the broad context of its Chemical Material Risk Management Program, 265 managed by the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Energy, Installations, and Environment, which has the mission to protect readiness, people, and the environment by identifying and managing risks associated with the chemicals and materials DoD uses. Additional nano-EHS research and management activities are conducted by individual DoD services and agencies as their interests and activities dictate. CPSC's mission is to reduce unreasonable risks of injury associated with consumer products. In order to determine whether nanotechnology-enabled consumer products are hazardous to consumers, CPSC engages with federal partners and contractors in projects to characterize and quantify exposures to engineered nanomaterials released from products, develop methods and frameworks to assess such releases, and develop toxicity databases from published literature. CPSC, EPA, NIOSH, and NIST will continue collaborating on evaluating 3D printer emissions, including nanoplastics and engineered nanomaterials, and their potential toxicity. For 2025 and beyond, this work is expanding to evaluation of a broader array of 3D printer technologies and is emphasizing potential exposures to children. Information collected from these efforts to characterize exposure have resulted in the development of best practices for product use. Refinements will continue as the interagency research progresses. Staff and partners are engaged in voluntary standards activities to create validated methods for quantifying and characterizing exposures from products. Reports and publications from contract studies support the development of voluntary standards, risk assessment and management frameworks, and continued evaluations of the release and exposure to nanomaterials. In addition, CPSC plays a key role in developing and sustaining the NNI and international nano-EHS research communities. A CPSC staff member has been co-chairing the NEHI working group, and CPSC staff plays leading roles in supporting the US-EU nano-EHS cores and in developing the updated NNI-EHS research strategy. Several other NNI participating agencies that do not report funding specifically to PCA5 also make important contributions to the NNI nano-EHS enterprise. For example, within the CDC, ATSDR and NCEH have convened a microplastics and human health working group focusing on microplastics, including 263, USDA.gov, 264, USDA.gov, 265, OSD.mil, 51. Nanoplastics and other nanomaterials, aimed at better understanding the occurrence of microplastics in the environment, routes of exposures, and potential health effects. The group meets monthly to discuss project updates, presentations, and participation in scientific events of interest that are internal or external to the U.S. government. Priorities and plans for 2025 include finalizing and publishing a number of manuscripts reviewing and analyzing the scientific literature on potential human and environmental health effects of nanoplastics, and updating the working group's strategic plan. Both ATSDR and NCEH are active participants in the NNI's Nanoplastics Interagency Interest Group and have ongoing collaborations with the California Water Resources Control Board Microplastics Monitoring Subcommittee. Additional collaborations are planned with the California-based nonprofit that advances sustainable stormwater management. The USGS Environmental Health Program (EHP) conducts research in nanotechnology and environmental effects of micro and nanoscale particles, including plastics. For example, the USGS EHP at Columbia Environmental Research Center 266 is developing analytical capabilities for evaluating the fate, transport, and effects of microplastics. USGS continues research on the use of nanoparticles for environmental sensing. A recent publication in Biosensors describes a collaboration with the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center and academic partners. 267. The USGS Water Resources Mission Area WMA has two projects supporting microplastics research. One, the WMA Next Generation Water Observing Systems Program partners universities with USGS scientists to design and implement innovating technologies for monitoring water resources. Through this program, funds are distributed to the USGS New York Water Science Center and a university for development and deployment of an in situ microplastics analyzer that uses a built-in flow-through cell and vortex separator, machine learning and imagery, and infrared spectroscopy to determine particle morphology and polymer type. 2. Through the WMA Urban Waters Directed Cooperative Matching Funds Program, funds have been allocated for developing a standardized method for collecting representative microplastic samples in urban streams. This project is in its third year and involves 4 USGS water science centers. In addition, WMA has provided funding for the creation of a microplastic strategic science vision report. 268. WMA is also supporting water science center staff to participate in an international joint commission workgroup tasked with developing recommendations for a microplastics monitoring strategy for the Great Lakes Basin. Progress on the Nano for Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. The 2021 NEAS strategic plan outlines a mechanism for mobilizing and connecting the nanotechnology community to help address critical issues, national nanotechnology challenges. Nanotechnology researchers working in these areas will be connected with broader efforts focused on these issues to accelerate solutions that benefit society. The NNI announced a National Nanotechnology Challenge on Climate Change, Nano4EARTH, on October 7, 2022.269. Nano4Earth recognizes the role nanotechnology will and already plays in evaluating, monitoring, and detecting climate change status and trends. Averting future greenhouse gas emissions, removing existing greenhouse gases, training and educating a highly skilled workforce to harness nanotechnology solutions, and developing higher resilience to and mitigation of climate change-induced pressures for improved societal economic resilience. NNI funding for Nano4Earth spans all of the PCAs. NNI community-wide activities in support. 266. USGS.gov. 267. DOI.org. 268. DOI.org. 269. Nano.gov. 52. Of this NNC since its inception are outlined in the sidebar at the end of this section of the report. The following are select examples of the many individual agency activities that have been furthering the goals of the Nano4Earth NNC. Setting standards for accountability and verification. With new legislative incentives from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and Inflation Reduction Act, there is significant momentum for clean energy deployment. These efforts need to involve meaningful community engagement in order to implement solutions to increase energy security and climate resilience while also maximizing benefits for workers and communities. Part of developing trust and accountability is establishing standards and being able to accurately quantify the impact of climate solutions. For example, in carbon management, the Inflation Reduction Act's 45Q tax credit enhancement provides stronger economic incentives for carbon capture technologies, while the DOE Carbon Negative Earthshot sets ambitious targets for permanent and cost-effective sequestration. Along with materials research, NIST is working to ensure traceability of GHG measurements, ensuring data quality and standardization through the entire life cycle. NIST, in coordination with the DOE DAC facilities, is developing a series of DAC benchmark materials as research-grade test materials, with industry feedback on priority materials to support timely, effective, and scalable implementation. 270 NIST also convenes the Low Carbon Cements and Concretes Consortium, 271 in coordination with the Council on Environmental Quality within the Executive Office of the President, DOE, EPA, and DOT, to engage with industry, academia, and standards developing organizations to facilitate development of voluntary consensus standards and interlaboratory comparisons. Integrating synthesis, experiment, modeling, and theory to accelerate discovery of materials for carbon capture. The development of new materials and technologies that enable cost-effective carbon capture is a component of a many-pronged approach to combating climate change. NSF-supported university researchers and industry are developing new materials for selective adsorption of CO2 versus nitrogen in the presence of water. The main thrust of the work is to develop integrated simulation, theoretical, and experimental methods for understanding the effect of water on CO2 N2 separations in metal organic frameworks (MOFs) and to use these tools to speed up the discovery of new materials for carbon capture. They developed a high-throughput screening procedure to screen a MOF database to identify top-performing materials for carbon capture from high-humidity flue gases. Another university research group, supported by DOE, is looking at MOFs for direct air capture of CO2, assessing their stability, carbon capture mechanisms, capture-release cycling behavior, and potential for scaled-up synthesis, addressing barriers for these MOFs to go from the research laboratory to implementation in DAC devices on a global scale. 272 In a third example, university scientists supported by 4 different NSF awards from 3 NSF divisions have laid out a pathway for the development of multi-dimensional designer catalysts for negative emissions science that bridges the gap between synthesis, simulations, and analysis. Their review paper assesses a number of different approaches to electrocatalytic and/or photocatalytic CO2 reduction, including a variety of catalytic materials e.g., Chevral phases, metal chalcogenides, metal halide perovskites, and 2D MOFs and processes that are under investigation for carbon sequestration applications. They conclude that successful development of these technologies will require multidisciplinary teams of experts engaged in targeted and accelerated design of materials, advanced instrumentation, theory, simulations, and data science. 273 See the sidebar in the Goal 1 section above page 13 for additional examples of catalysis using nanoscale materials for carbon capture. 270. DOI.org. 271. NIST.gov. 272. DOI.org. 273. DOI.org. 53. Nano4Earth Accomplishments, Perspective on Nanotechnology Solutions to Climate Change. As part of the interagency collaboration and activities organized under the National Nanotechnology Challenge on Climate Change, Nano4EARTH, a multi-stakeholder group of experts from across the U.S. government AFRL, ARL, DOE, EPA, NIST, NNCO, NSF, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, a private foundation, and a nanotechnology company have published a peer-reviewed journal article outlining how nanotechnology can help accelerate progress towards addressing climate change. In particular, 4 promising nanotechnologies were identified: advanced environmentally friendly batteries and energy storage solutions, green, nanoscale catalysts, sustainable and more effective membranes, lubricants, and interfaces, and scalable materials that capture greenhouse gases. These advancements could be applied to hard-to-abate power, transportation, industrial, and building sectors to reach 2030 global decarbonization goals. Through this article, the authors provide a framework for the nanotechnology community to accelerate the development of climate solutions. Continuing momentum on DOE Energy Earthshots TM. DOE Energy Earthshots TM provide targets to inspire ambitious progress in developing and implementing innovative technologies. The most recent of these is the industrial heat shot, setting a goal to reduce industrial GHG emissions 85% by 2035. Nanoscience R&D can play a key role in finding low or no heat process technologies for industrial decarbonization, such as design and discovery of nanomaterials for electrolysis to produce clean hydrogen, which is especially critical to decarbonize hard-to-abate sectors like steel and cement. The Industrial Heat Summit, 274 held in October 2023, convened key stakeholders to discuss workforce. 274. Energy.gov. Examples of nanotechnology-enabled solutions for climate-intensive processes. The examples shown illustrate nanomaterials and technologies for 1. Batteries and energy storage, 2. Greenhouse gas capture, 3. Interfaces, and 4. Catalysis. The inside of the circle highlights nanomaterials that are being used to enable climate solutions. The outer circle are examples of specific technologies. Image credit, Nature Nanotechnology. 54. Development, community engagement, and industry needs followed by award selections announced in January 2024 from DOE's Industrial Efficiency and Decarbonization Funding Opportunity Announcement. 275 Earlier sidebars in this report highlight several other DOE accomplishments. Using nanomaterials and quantum sensing to understand and address climate impacts. NASA research related to Nano for Earth spans climate research, aeronautics, clean energy, and environmental monitoring. The Transformative Aeronautics Concepts Program supported work studying innovative nanomaterials for high-voltage aerospace insulation and cables to enable electrified aircraft propulsion, such as through using copper-carbon nanotube fibers for lightweight power transmission. 276 NASA's new Quantum Pathways Space Technology Research Institute 277 is focused on the development of a high-sensitivity quantum gravity gradiometer that is being designed to provide an advanced capability for Earth-observing satellites. Data obtained using the technology could help improve understanding of climate by measuring changes taking place in Earth's ice masses, oceans, and land water. Plans for the Nano for Earth National Nanotechnology Challenge. As discussed above in the budget summary section of this report, NNI participating agencies are reporting total estimated funding for the Nano for Earth NNC of just over 10% of the total 2025 NNI request, up roughly 10% from the estimated Nano for Earth funding request reported in the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget. 278 DOE, NSF, NASA, ARS, and NIST are reporting funding for Nano for EARTH in descending order of estimated funding amounts. In addition, EPA, DoD, NRC, and NCEH participate in the planning activities in keeping with their respective missions. The following is a sampling of planned activities for 2025 and beyond for some of the participating agencies. NNCO will help the agencies plan and organize activities for the next 3 years of the challenge that can be executed within existing authorizations and budgets, to build on and use the information gathered in the January 2023 kickoff meeting 279 and subsequent roundtable meetings on interfaces, energy storage, GHG capture, and catalyst technologies 280 and other related events. 281. These activities range from interagency opportunities to public-facing events and collaborative activities, and are grouped into 6 main categories. 1. Convening agency representatives to develop an integrated communications plan identifying top priority messages and their targeted audiences. 2. Selecting approximately 6 nanomaterials to focus on in order to help accelerate Nano for Earth goals. 3. Identifying agency subject matter experts who could serve as proposal reviewers for Nano for EARTH related funding solicitations, and or be available for details to other agencies. 4. Developing gap analyses for each Nano for Earth roundtable summary with language that agencies can use as reference for funding solicitations. 5. Adapting the roundtable summaries into classroom curricula and other educational materials. And 6. Mapping Nano for EARTH related capabilities across the nation to identify regional ecosystems that can help accelerate the achievement of the NNC's goals. Some of these activities, e.g., communications plan, material co-development, gap analyses, and curriculum development, are already underway. Others are in the planning stages. 275. Energy.gov. 276. DOE.org. 277. NASA.gov. 278 per the NNI supplement to the President's 2024 budget. p. 7. Nano.gov. 279. Nano.gov. 280. See the summaries of the roundtable meetings posted at Nano.gov. 281. Nano.gov. 55. Does activities in support of Nano for Earth cover 2 of the 5 NNC themes? 2. Averting future greenhouse gas emissions, where EERE has related applied research programs, and the Office of Science supports underlying fundamental research. And 3. Removing existing greenhouse gases, where the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management has related programs, again with support from the Office of Science's fundamental research activities. Nanotechnology is expected to make significant contributions to achieving the goals of the DOE Energy Earth shots, including the carbon negative shot, the clean fuels and products shot, the enhanced geothermal shot, the floating offshore wind shot, the hydrogen shot, the industrial heat shot, the long duration storage shot, and the affordable home energy shot. 282. For example, nanotechnology may contribute to advancing the challenges of the hydrogen shot by helping research at the National Energy Technology Laboratory on developing hydrogen internal combustion processes that meet environmental standards for low emissions of nitrogen oxide pollutants. Another significant intersection between DOE priorities and Nano for Earth is the Semiconductor Industry Energy Efficiency Scaling Initiative, managed by EERE-AMMTO, which seeks to increase energy efficiency of semiconductors microelectronics by at least 1000x in the next 20 years. Many of the potential technology approaches to achieving this goal will involve nanotechnology, since all cutting-edge semiconductor devices today are fabricated and operate at the nanoscale. In August 2024, DOE issued an RFI seeking public and stakeholder on the goals, objectives, and next steps in the initiative, 283, which will inform a forthcoming EES2 roadmap. 284. Many programs and solicitations across multiple NSF directorates support research related to Nano for Earth. Many programs and solicitations across multiple NSF directorates support research related to Nano for Earth. For example, ENGIE's Electrochemical Systems Program 285 and MPS's Solid State and Materials Chemistry and Ceramics Programs 286 support research in the area of energy storage, as do cross-cutting programs supported by several directorates, e.g., Designing Materials to Revolutionize and Engineer Our Future 287 and the DCL on Clean Energy Technologies. 288 The MREF supports catalysis research, as do catalysis programs in both ENGIE and MPS. 289 Research on nanotechnology at interfaces, including coatings, lubricants, thermal interface materials, and membranes, is supported by ENG's NanoScale Interactions Program 290 and MPS's Solid State and Materials Chemistry and Polymers Programs. 291 TIPS SBIR STTR programs support research on topics such as energy storage, catalysts, greenhouse gas removal. 292 For 2025 and beyond, in addition to the programs listed above, research related to Nano for Earth may be funded by other core programs such as IUCRCs, Engineering Research Centers, and EFMA and ENG CPCA 1 section above, as well as electronics, photonics and magnetic devices. 293. And communications, circuits, and sensing systems. 294. 4. Energy efficient. 282 See details of each of these Earthshots at energy.gov. 283. Energy.gov. 284. NIST.gov. 285. NSF.gov. 286. NSF.gov. NSF.gov. 287. NSF.gov. 288. NSF.gov. 289. NSF.gov. NSF.gov. 290. NSF.gov. 291. NSF.gov. NSF.gov. 292. NSF.gov. 293. NSF.gov. 294. NSF.gov. 56. Microelectronics and several additional programs in the Chemical Process Systems Cluster. 295 within the CBET division. Some programs within MPS's Division of Physics. 296 have a minor focus on climate change-related research, as do the Atmospheric and Geospace Sciences, Earth Sciences, and Ocean Sciences divisions in the Directorate for Geosciences. 297 There is also a cross-directorate DCL on critical aspects of sustainability, innovative solutions to climate change. 298 and a DCL on funding opportunities for engineering research to achieve net zero climate goals by 2050. 299. NASA has activities that support 3 of the Nano for Earth themes. 1. Evaluating, monitoring, and detecting climate change status and trends. 2. Averting future greenhouse gas emissions. And 3. Training and educating a highly skilled workforce to harness nanotechnology solutions. NASA's technology portfolio relevant to Nano for EARTH includes climate research, aeronautics, clean energy, and environmental monitoring. New nanotechnology research activities to address climate change under Theme 1 above include a Quantum Pathways Space Technology Research Institute led by a public research university. See above in the section on progress on Nano for EARTH for details. Under Theme 2, NASA's Transformative Aeronautics Concepts Program 300 is supporting the development of boron nitride and copper CNT composite nanomaterials to enable electrified aircraft propulsion. Nanotechnology plays an important role in realizing the potential of solid-state batteries, including the use of functionalized holy graphene to achieve high specific energy density, wide operating temperature, lithium-sulfur batteries for electrified aircraft propulsion. See the PCA 2 section above for information on the Super Lightweight Aerospace Composites project, which is aimed at reducing fuel consumption as well as improving overall performance of aerospace vehicles. See the PCA 4 section of this report for examples of NASA educational activities in support of Nano for Earth Theme 4. The NIST Climate Research Portfolio, 301, which has some intersections with nanotechnology, includes climate measurements and monitoring, decarbonization of the economy, and adaptation and resilience, as well as life cycle analysis and carbon accounting. Under Nano for Earth Theme 3, removing existing greenhouse gases, NIST direct air capture research includes benchmarking nanomaterials such as zeolites, MOFs, and covalent organic frameworks, COFs, as CO2 adsorbents. NIST is also using nanotechnology instrumentation technologies to make fundamental measurements for its DAC research. NIST reference materials support industry development of next-generation batteries and supercapacitors, carbon capture and storage adsorbents, flue gas membranes, lightweighting materials, smart grid technologies, and advanced solar cells. DoD research at the Institute for Soldier Nanotechnologies contributing to the Nano for Earth NNC includes the development of nanomaterials for improved thermophotovoltaic cells, a photonics-enhanced electronic network interface card for faster, more efficient computing, and stabilized electrolyte interfaces for safer and higher storage capacity solid-state batteries to avert future greenhouse gas emissions. The Institute for Soldier Nanotechnologies is also developing an improved solar cell simulator to allow fine-tuning of layer thickness and materials properties for more efficient solar cells, and is researching the use of gold nanoparticles and nanoporous gold for high surface area catalyst supports. ARL is conducting research on generating hydrogen fuel from 295 NSF.gov, 296 NSF.gov, 297 NSF.gov, 298 NSF.gov, 299 NSF.gov, 300 NASA.gov, 301 NIST.gov, 57 Nanostructured metals, polymer nanomaterial additive composites for daytime passive radiative cooling, 2D polymer battery membranes, high-performance MXene batteries, and CNT lubricants. National Nanotechnology Initiative supplement to the President's 2025 budget. Appendix A, contact list. Affiliations are as of September 2024. OSTP Drive. Brandon Brow NSET Co-Chair, EOP Liaison Office of Science and Technology Policy Executive Office of the President. Ms. Danielle Jones Office of Management and Budget Executive Office of the President. Dr. William McNavage Office of Management and Budget Executive Office of the President. NNCO 302. Dr. Brandon Brow Director National Nanotechnology Coordination Office B. Brow at nnco.nano.gov. Dr. Quinn Spadola Deputy Director National Nanotechnology Coordination Office Q Spadola at nnco.nano.gov. ATSDR Drive. Custodio Mionga Environmental Health Scientist Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry CMionga at cdc.gov. Barda Drive. Sandeep Patel Director, Division of Research, Innovation, and Ventures Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority Department of Health and Human Services Sandeep Patel at hhs.gov. 302 additional NNCO staff contacts are on P. 61. CPSC Drive. Joanna Matheson Toxicologist, Nanotechnology Program Manager, Nanotechnology Health Sciences Directorate Consumer Product Safety Commission J. Matheson at cpsc.gov. DHS Drive. Laura Parker Senior Advisor for Sensors Office of Science and Engineering, Technology Center Division Science and Technology Directorate Department of Homeland Security Laura Parker at hq.dhs.gov. Bis Ms. Kelly Gardner Export Policy Advisor Office of National Security and Technology Transfer Controls Bureau of Industry and Security U.S. Department of Commerce Kelly Gardner at bis.doc.gov. Item is Tracy Gersel International Trade Specialist Office of Materials Industries International Trade Administration U.S. Department of Commerce Tracy Gersel at trade.gov. NIST Drive. Angela Heitwalker Senior Scientist and Project Leader Fundamental Electrical Measurements Group National Institute of Standards and Technology Angela.Heitwalker at NIST.gov. 58. Dr. Stephanie Hooker Acting Director, Associate Director for Strategic Outreach Material Measurement Laboratory National Institute of Standards and Technology Stephanie.Hooker at NIST.gov. Dr. J. Alexander Little Scientific Director Microsystems and Nanotechnology Division Physical Measurement Laboratory National Institute of Standards and Technology James.Little at NIST.gov. USPTO Mr. Tariq Hafiz Director, TC 3600 Patent and Trademark Office Tariq Hafiz at USPTO.gov. Mr. Matthew W. Such Group Director, TC 2800 Patent and Trademark Office Matthew Such at USPTO.gov. DoD Drive. Conrad Bussman Director, Institute for Nanoscience Naval Research Laboratory Conrad.Bussman at nrl.navy.mil. Dr. Jeffrey Debriest New Technologies Program Manager Counterforce Systems Division Defense Threat Reduction Agency Jeffrey C. Debriest.civ. At mail.mil. Dr. Mark H. Greep Materials Engineer Army Research Laboratory Mark H. Greep.civ. At mail.mil. 59. Dr. Aisha Haynes Principal Director for Advanced Materials Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering Department of Defense Aisha.s.haynes.civ at mail.mil. Mr. Michael Holth Director, Platforms and Weapons Technologies Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering Department of Defense Michael.j.holth2.civ at mail.mil. Dr. John Camp Special Assistant to the Director for Strategic Engagement Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency John.camp at darpa.mil. Dr. Akbar S. Khan Senior Microbiologist and S&T Manager Strategic Operations Division Chemical Biological Technologies Defense Threat Reduction Agency Akbar S. Khan.civ. At mail.mil. Dr. Antti J. Makinen Program Officer Office of Naval Research Antti Makinen. At navy.mil. Dr. Heather Meeks Physical Scientist Basic and Supporting Research Div. Defense Threat Reduction Agency Heather Meeks. At dtra.mil. Lieutenant Colonel Woody Miller Program Manager, Optoelectronics, THC and Nanotechnology Directorate of Physics and Electronics Air Force Office of Scientific Research Woody.Miller.1 at us.af.mil. Dr. Brian D. Pate, Physical Scientist, Basic and Supporting Research Div. Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Brian Pate at dtra.mil. Mr. Victor Pugliano, Director of Materials, Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, Department of Defense, victor.pugliano.civ@mail.mil. Dr. David M. Step Chief, Materials Science Division, Army Research Office, AMSRD-ROM, Materials Science Division, David M. Step.civ at mail.mil. Do Drive, Linda Horton, Associate Director of Science for Basic Energy Sciences, Department of Energy, linda.horton@science.do.gov. Dr. Tina M. Carlsberg, Advanced Manufacturing Office, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, Department of Energy, tina.carlsberg@ee.do.gov. Dr. Harriet Kung, Deputy Director for Science Programs, Office of Science, Department of Energy, Harriet Kung at science.do.gov. Dr. Andrew R. Schwartz, NSET Co-Chair Director, Materials Sciences and Engineering Division, Office of Basic Energy Sciences, Department of Energy, Andrew Schwartz at science.do.gov. Doig BSEE Drive, Candy Hudson, Response Research Branch, Chief, Oil Spill Preparedness Division, Department of the Interior, Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, Candy Hudson at bc.gov. Doig USBR Drive, Kenneth Novak, Program Manager, R&D Office, Department of the Interior, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, NOAC at usbr.gov. Doig USGS Drive, Jeffrey A. Stevens, Research Toxicologist, Department of the Interior, U.S. Geological Survey, Columbia Environmental Research Center, J. Stevens at usgs.gov. DOJ NIJ Drive, Kyle Fox, Science and Technology Research Advisor, Office of Research, Evaluation, and Technology, Technology and Standards Division, Office of Science and Technology, National Institute of Justice, Department of Justice, Kyle Fox at usdig.gov. Dr. Greg Dutton, Physical Scientist, Office of Investigative and Forensic Sciences, Office of Science and Technology, National Institute of Justice, Department of Justice, Gregory Dutton at usdig.gov. Dr. Mark Green, Policy and Standards Division, Director, Office of Science and Technology, National Institute of Justice, Department of Justice, Mark Green at ojp.usdig.gov. 60. Dal OSHA Drive, Janet Carter, Senior Health Scientist, Department of Labor, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, Carter, Janet at dal.gov. Mr. David Keene, Program Manager, Exploratory Advanced Research, Federal Highway Administration, Department of Transportation, Turner Fairbank Highway Research Center, David Keene at .gov. EPA Mr. Jeffrey L. Dawson, Science Advisor, Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention, Environmental Protection Agency, Dawson.jeff at epa.gov. Dr. Annette Giuseppe, National Program Director, Chemical Safety for Sustainability Research Program, Office of Research and Development, Environmental Protection Agency, Giuseppe-Ellie.Annette at epa.gov. FDA Drive, Anil K. Patry, Chair, Nanotechnology Task Force Director, NCTR, Office of Regulatory Affairs, Nanotechnology Core Facility, National Center for Toxicological Research, Food and Drug Administration, Anil Patry at fda.hhs.gov. NASA Drive, Emily J. Sioki, NASA Langley Research Center, Advanced Materials and Processing Branch, Emily.j.sioki at nasa.gov. Dr. Tiffany S. Williams, NASA Glenn Research Center Chief, Materials Chemistry and Physics Branch, Tiffany.s.williams at nasa.gov. NCEH Drive, Max Zarate Bermudez, Environmental Epidemiologist, National Center for Environmental Health, M. Zarate Bermudez at cdc.gov. NIH FIC Drive, Christine F. Sizemore, Director, Division of International Relations, Fogarty International Center, National Institutes of Health, Christine.Sizemore at nih.gov. NIH NCI Drive, Peter Grzinski, Chief, Nanodelivery Systems and Devices Branch, NSDB, Cancer Imaging Program, Division of Cancer Treatment and Diagnosis, National Cancer Institute, National Institutes of Health, Grojanby at mail.nih.gov. NIH NIBUP Drive, David Rampula, Director, Division of Discovery Science and Technology, Bioengineering, National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering, National Institutes of Health, David.Rampula at nih.gov. Dr. Louisa Russell, Program Director, Division of Discovery Science and Engineering, Bioengineering, National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering, National Institutes of Health, Louisa.Russell at nih.gov. Dr. Stephen Zulo, Scientific Review Officer, Office of Scientific Review, National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering, National Institutes of Health, Stephen Zulo at nih.hhs.gov. NIH NIEHS Drive, Lingamanaidu V. Ravichandran, Program Officer, Exposure, Response, and Technology Branch, Division of Extramural Research and Training, National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, National Institutes of Health, Lingamanaidu.Ravichandran at nih.gov. Dr. Nigel Walker, Chief, Systems Toxicology Branch, Division of Translational Toxicology, National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, National Institutes of Health, Walker 3 at NIH.nih.gov. NIH OD Drive, Tyrone Spady, Director, Science Policy Coordination, Collaboration, and Reporting, Office of Science Policy, Office of the Director, National Institutes of Health, Tyrone.Spady at nih.gov. NIOSH Drive, Vladimir V. Murashov, Special Assistant to the Director, Office of the Director, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, Vladimir Murashov at cdc.hhs.gov. Dr. J. Vietas NSET Co-Chair Chief, Emerging Technologies Branch Division of Science Integration National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health QSP2 at cdc.gov. 61. NRC Mr. Steve R. Ruffin Branch Chief, Office of Research, Division of Engineering Nuclear Regulatory Commission Steve Ruffin at nrc.gov. NSF Drive, Kirst Cooper Program Director, Advanced Manufacturing Division of Civil, Mechanical and Manufacturing Innovation Directorate for Engineering National Science Foundation KH Cooper. At nsf.gov. Dr. Thomas Woodson Program Director, Division of Social and Economic Sciences Directorate for Social, Behavioral, and Economic Sciences National Science Foundation TS Woodso at nsf.gov. Dr. Richard Nash Associate Program Director Division of Electrical, Communications, and Cyber Systems Directorate for Engineering National Science Foundation R. Nash at nsf.gov. Dr. Nora F. Savage Program Director, Division of Chemical, Bioengineering, Environmental, and Transport Systems Directorate for Engineering National Science Foundation No Savage. At nsf.gov. Dr. Birgit Schwenzer Program Director, Solid State and Materials Chemistry Division of Materials Research Directorate for Mathematical and Physical Sciences National Science Foundation B. Schwenz at nsf.gov. State Drive, Andrea Polipal Physical Scientist Bureau of Arms Control, Verification and Compliance Department of State Polipal AI at state.gov. Dr. Kathleen E. Stevens Office of Science and Technology Cooperation OES STC US. Department of State Stevens KE at state.gov. Dr. Mar Tedros Physical Scientist Bureau of Arms Control, Verification and Compliance Department of State Tedros ME at state.gov. Treasury Drive, Heather Hill Bureau of Engraving and Printing Office of Technology Development Department of the Treasury Heather.Hill at bep.gov. USDA ARS Drive, John Folk National Program Leader, Product Quality and New Uses Biorefining, Biofuels, Bio-Based Products NP 306 Agricultural Research Service US. Department of Agriculture John Folk at USDA.gov. USDA FS Drive, Kenneth Swick Assistant Director for Research Forest Products Laboratory US. Forest Service US. Department of Agriculture Kenneth Swick at USDA.gov. USDA NEPA Drive. Hongda Chen National Program Leader, Bioprocess Engineering, Nanotechnology National Institute of Food and Agriculture US. Department of Agriculture Hongda Chen at USDA.gov. USITC Ms. Elizabeth R. Nesbitt International Trade Analyst for Biotechnology and Nanotechnology Chemicals and Textiles Division Office of Industries US. International Trade Commission Elizabeth Nesbitt at USITC.gov. Additional staff contacts, National Nanotechnology Coordination Office Drive. Rima Bjorklund Staff Scientist NNCOR Bjorklund at nnco.nano.gov. Dr. Maria Fernanda Campa Staff Scientist NNCO Macampa at nnco.nano.gov. Mr. Jeffrey M. Holdridge Executive Secretary, Subcommittee on Microelectronics Leadership NNCOG Holdridge at nnco.nano.gov. Mr. Mike Kiley Industry Liaison NNCO M. Kiley at nnco.nano.gov. Dr. Stephanie A. Mack NSET Executive Secretary NNCO SMAC at nnco.nano.gov. Dr. Matthew Knorr Staff Scientist NNCO M. Knorr at nnco.nano.gov. Dr. Patrice Pages Communications and Public Affairs Liaison NNCOP Pages at nnco.nano.gov. Celebrating the NNI. To celebrate 20 years of U.S. leadership in nanotechnology since the passing of the 21st Century Nanotechnology Research and Development Act, over 400 members of the NNI community gathered for a day-long symposium at the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. The event featured Arati Prabhakar, Assistant to the President for Science and Technology and Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, Ron Wyden, U.S. Senator from Oregon and author of the legislation, NASA astronaut Kathleen Rubins, and Chad Merkin, Northwestern professor. At the symposium, leaders from academia, government, and industry spoke about U.S. success in nanotechnology and future directions in this field, while dozens of students from around the country presented posters on their work. President Joe Biden, as well as former President Bill Clinton and his Assistant for Science and Technology, Neil Lane, also submitted words of support. National Nanotechnology Coordination of FICE 2415 Eisenhower Avenue, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314.
What do you see? I see WG4. Why is that there? Oh, I don't know. Could it be because the government's decided they're not waiting for you to have an opinion? That's what they said in the same document. In the same document. In the same document. In the same document. Smart everything everywhere. Oh, it's the Agenda 2030. What's a DigiTwin? Shut up. You don't need to know. Okay. The ability for an entity, human or machine, those of you that flipped your shit when I started talking about agentic AI and real entities for what they really are, Yeah, you don't want to talk about your graphene healthcare. You want people afraid of China and a bioweapon. And I'll get to China later. And the biosensors, you won't admit to them. You keep scaring people and telling ghost stories. And you've got it all distributed in network-centric warfare doctrine. Your system of systems comes up with the Chinese government. And as far as what they're fighting over, again, I'll get back to that with Black Hat later. And your Internet of Things is about the only thing people know of. And when I say sustainability goals, everybody screams, the planet is dying. But in reality, they've been filling the planet with sensors everywhere you can imagine: water, soil, food, people, pets. And nobody will talk about that. Nobody's talking about human augmentation or nanotechnology doing this on purpose for 20 years. So where are they headed? You're not stopping them. This is what's coming down from the highest points of the whole world. So what are we doing? We're arguing that it even exists. Are you kidding me? No. All the doctors and all these people, you're listening to these people talk a year ago, and you're still sitting there, I guarantee it, telling me, no, you're crazy. You're just nuts. You're just crazy.
Okay, so here's your nanoparticles, but they're separated by their type of surface, uniformity, composition, physical and chemical properties, mechanical properties, and morphology, dimensionality with reductionist and series math. Nanozymes, here we break out again into all the different ways they self-assemble and come apart, okay? In multiple ways, dependent on what? DNA analyte derivative, it depends on you. These sensors, bioreceptors, electrical interfaces, are reading your cells, your blood, your saliva, okay? In vitro, as you can see, food and environment too. That's also in the Seg 12 stuff. So it's I call it DNA analyte derivative because as a biological analyte, it just takes the signal and translates the signal into an electrical signal and sends it to the cloud. So now, here's your biological sensors coming off of your cellular DNA derivative in the form of antibody, antigen, enzymes, nucleic acids, DNA, cells, receptors, physical absorption. None of this is nano-related. It can talk to other nano, but this is just basic things like light, sound, luminescence, mechanical, your walking, your biotensegrity, your gait. You're out there telling people that we're going to cleanse the way we walk. We're going to cleanse the way we gesture with our arms. There are no words for the level of deception here, okay? And that's why Dr. Maria Chrysler, in my opinion, has been placed in an awful position by these grifters and frauds who desperately want to hold on to their fraudulent businesses. They know better? Well, doesn't matter. It's business. If you attend the circus and buy a ticket and then complain about the circus, whose fault is that? Don't you know how to leave? Okay, welcome to the Synergy Channel. We left the circus because we wanted to actually survive. This has an anatomical biomedical aim and fire. This is a heavily engineered system, and it's not new, and it is for your health. So what we did was we said, you do realize you're tethered to the cloud. And that's when the lying and the horrible things on our channel really started. Because I went straight here and I'm like, yo, you got to tell people that this is old, all right? You can't keep running around out there telling them ghost stories, alien stories, and then shaming them with religious badgering and battering. It's horrible, and it's ripping up families, and it's destroying friendships. It's simple, man. Have you ever had a pacemaker? Okay, yeah, well, pacemakers are kind of connected to things, you know, turning the body into a wire. When the human body is the communications channel, it's hard to hack the data. In 2007, Vice President Dick Cheney ordered his doctors to disable all wireless signals to and from his internet-connected pacemaker.